Hello. Oh, I'm stuck. Why am I stuck? Oh, wait. Hang on. I gotta be the Minna. Alright, there. Now I'm not stuck anymore. Alright, let's see here. Stream's going. I don't know why my BGM wasn't wanting to work. It's just off my desktop right now. Oh well. Hello, chat. Hello, everyone. It is I, Minna Vanilla, and today I made my mom come on stream.
Hello.
Where is my chat? There's my chat. How is everyone tonight? Hello there, Potato Cancer. I hope you have a good sleep. Hello there, Ren Staffwilly.
No. Oh, so everybody over there on the other side of the world's waking up.
I think so. I don't know. It's spread out. I think we have some Euro bros, like your people in Europe, maybe. There's Temp. Hello, Temp. Temp's on our time. He's in Japan, too. We'll see. Probably most people will catch the VOD. Usually when I stream at, like, 11, it's, like, people's, like, later morning, midday. Also, let me know if the music's wonky. I didn't know why my BGM wasn't working, so I'm just letting it play off the laptop. Where's Otta? Oh, there we go. Okay. There's my stuffs. Alright, anyways, we're just hanging out. I pinned the Maro link at the top of chat if anyone has questions to submit to my dear mother about anything.
Yeah.
Oh, everyone's waking up.
It's 7 a.m. over there. Back home.
Well, hello there, Foxy Roxy and Grim Glassman. So one of the hardest things about being a streamer mom is trying to figure out how to pronounce chat's names, because I don't know how to like sound out words.
No phonetics.
I just memorize, which should help me with Japanese. I just need to take time to memorize stuff, I guess. But how have you been enjoying Japan?
Neat. Yeah, I was actually looking closer today at the letters. It's like, okay, so they got this stream of things. I mean, it might say something in English that's 4 words long, and so then I could see I don't know which is kanji, which is whatever, I can see like the 4 kind of strings of characters, and then above it only has like 3 little symbols.
That would be the
each
kanji.
thing is a word.
So it would be like I guess you're saying the kanji, and above it the little words would probably be the hiragana.
Okay.
So the kanji is like a picture.
I'm just staring at it and looking, and then just going, how? Wrap my tired mind around if we were to learn this, and then it's like, okay, so in the kanji there's, a word and has little curved things and dots, and then the last one has this elaborate, Christmas tree house something or whatever, and it's like, what the heck are these letters? And
thanks, Japan.
How does a little kid just in my mind?
I know. I'm curious. Like, how do they teach it?
Yeah, I mean, just knowing. I'm always involved with kids, and their minds and learning, and so I'm just trying to wrap my mind around the process of as kids grow up, how they
I was wondering
what
about
they pick
too.
up first and how they learn, and then when they hit formal schooling. Do you have to wait till then to really try to... I mean, I guess with the kanji, it's more like our alphabet. So different kanji have sounds.
No. That's the hiragana. So the hiragana is like the sounds. Like, then it's like they don't just have like the R and then the O and then U. It's you have like the R and the U sound and then the R and the O sound. They're all like individual
but still,
things.
Okay, so arigato gozaimasu, the kids hear that everywhere and they learn it. And so then they go to school, and just like if we were learning how to spell, art, they've heard the word and then they learn it's A-R-T. But, and so then, they've heard these words, and so I can imagine, okay, with that they learn these sounds. These symbols represent these sounds, and so it makes, Ari or whatever. But then... Yeah, the picture things.
The kanji. So Temp's, he's in Japan as an English teacher, and so he's like, it's pretty scary to see the 3rd graders' kanji test here. They study hard in school.
Yeah.
Also, just the school culture.
I thought you said that the longer words were kanji.
So the kanji, like each like when you see like a
Well-
complicated shape, that's a
Well,
kanji.
Okay, you've got. It said,
Here,
don't
maybe I'll
touch the
Google.
glass, and so then you have the 4 longer words, and then you just have the 3 little symbols up there. So which one is the kanji?
Okay,
the
here,
3
I'll
little
just Google
symbols
it.
that each symbol means a word?
No.
Or the
Okay, here.
longer-
Okay, so
Now let's. We don't
I'm
go on
gonna
such a
show you.
tangent.
No, this is what
I'm
streams are for. Tangents.
No,
That's exactly what streams are
I
for.
agree. No, I'm just sitting there, just envisioning.
Okay, okay.
So the kids learn these words. They know how to talk. So you go to school, and you learn the one where things are sounded out, and then you learn all these picture words. I don't know.
That's the kanji, picture words.
Anyway.
So Temp says kanji is absolutely fascinating. It's super fast to read, but hard to learn. And apparently different Asian languages, like, share kanji, but then also, like, is different. I think Milliardo was saying a friend of his who's Chinese, when they were both teaching English in Japan, and like he could look at a kanji and like know what it meant, but didn't know like how the Japanese exactly pronounced. I don't know. It's very confusing.
Drink the what juice?
The tangent juice. You gotta drink the tangent juice.
No, I went to the grocery store by myself and bought tea, and I came home, bought a regular one, and I could tell one said green tea, so I was tasting to see what I like, but it has a weird aftertaste, like almost a roast coffee ground. Weird, not disgusting, but a little bit. And so then Milliardo walked by. I was like, "Oh, you got some barley tea." I'm like, what the heck is barley tea?
Yeah.
I don't know
He's
how
drunk
to read
barley
tea.
tea.
I was trying to buy
There's so many teas.
drink.
Okay, apparently it's only Japanese and Chinese use kanji. Okay, so there's only that overlap. Okay, so this is hiragana. This is the hiragana. So these are each of the little sounds. See? Here, let me pull this up. Let me make it bigger. Wait, no, I just need the picture.
The other juice I got is that green stuff yesterday. I didn't know it would be green.
Which one did you
ordered
get?
a melon. Did you see?
Oh, the melon soda?
Me and
Dokid.
Dokid.
He loves the melon soda.
Yeah, and I didn't know that. I ordered that. He got a strawberry milkshake.
I like the melon soda. I didn't have it
it
until we came over here, and I enjoy it.
I got that by accident, so of course he drank mine too.
We drink all this stuff. Okay, where's the thing? Here we go. Okay, so here's all the hiragana. These are like the sounds. See, and like where's like for end, there's na, there's ni, there's nu, there's ne, there's no.
So then there's 3 longer, words consisting of those. But you kept telling me that's the kanji. I said no, wouldn't the kanji, if this are pictures, would just been the 3 simple symbols up top that meant don't touch the glass.
I think they combine, like they'll put kanji and hiragana together.
Well, I know there'd be like a thing that has an English word, and above it has the longer, I guess you're saying this hiragana stuff, and then it has above it just 3 simple.
Anyway,
I was just looking, and it cracks me up though that I guess the hiragana ones, that there's just a bunch of slashes and little things, but then you'd come to the end of the word, it'd be this crazy elaborate drawing, That
would probably be the kanji.
No, I'm saying there's 3 things. 1, 2, 3. There's English on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
There's the whole long stuff in
hiragana.
Yeah, and then up above there would be the kanji, just like 3 symbols.
Okay.
But I'm just saying this, the long, these
hiragana
words, you got a slash here, this, that, you got, and then you have this elaborate, it's just some of them, there's little, I don't know, are we looking at kanji
This
here?
is kanji.
No, I don't want to look at kanji. These
no one wants to look at kanji.
So you're looking at this, and there's like, a little backwards C, a little scribble here, and that.
All the hiragana.
And then, there would be that, but then there'd be one within that's like crazy looking.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. Whatever 2 words I was looking at, there was one hiragana symbol at the end of both words that was crazy looking.
Okay, these are all the hiragana.
The kanji was up top. I don't know.
Or, I don't know. But there's other kanji or hiragana.
Yeah.
I don't know. I need to figure out how to put more time into actually studying this, because
I'm just wondering about. I mean, I can
this
see
one's cute.
that,
It's a smiley face.
Each one of these symbols is a letter sound, just like us. The kids learn those, and they know how to sound it out. They recognize things, but yeah,
this gets me though, where it's like it's not just a sound, it's like two sounds together. And so there's so many of them, like ma, mi, mu, me, mo.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's 3 alphabets. You have 3 alphabets to learn.
Yeah. I don't know. I keep finding myself wanting to respond in Spanish to something. I mean, I really do. Or there's little bits of Japanese that are Spanish-esque. I'm almost, hesitant to say that because I'm not a linguist, and I was like, well, I don't know if I hear other Asian languages, but then as I'm listening to Japanese around me, every once in a while, there's words that I'm like, oh, that sounds, that's a Spanish word. I don't know. There's Japanese words that are very, very, very close to Spanish and a little bit I almost catch myself wanting to respond. I think in the elevator, was I just with kiddo, and I was in an elevator and gonna say which floor, like going to number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And since I'm with foreigners, I almost, at home, I would say something in Spanish if I'm with people that don't speak English. So, I almost went dos, but then in my head, I go, no, I was about to say dos. And so then I go, eins, zwei. No, wait a minute, that's German. And then I'm like, which is Japanese? Ich, ni, right?
Ich, ni,
so anyway, I was like,
you went from Spanish to German?
Yes, I was thinking in my head that, oh no, I'm not supposed to say it. I was going to try to say it in Japanese. And I was like, no, not Spanish. And I immediately started to think to say it in German. And caught myself. I don't know. I mean, I know how to count in German or Japanese. That's it.
Yeah.
Spanish, I know a good bit. And there was some other time, yesterday or today, that I almost wanted to really respond in a sentence in Spanish. And I'm like, no, I can't do that.
It would have been funny. I bet they don't get many, Spanish. It would have been like, what?
But listening to kids on the playground and just some people, there's, it's really a few times a little part of what they said made me go, huh? And
so so both Temp and Milliardo at the same time said historically Portuguese is an early language they interacted with, so some imported words from are Portuguese.
Yeah. So there's been a few times my head whips because it was like, that's a Spanish word. I mean, it probably isn't the same word in Spanish that they're saying, I don't know, but
adopted.
And then just lots of their sounds, even though I don't completely understand Spanish. So to me, it would sound Spanish-esque, but I know they're not speaking Spanish. But yeah.
It's so funny.
But there's so many Americans around here.
Well, in our particular spot.
I know. There's just Americans everywhere. Tourist areas.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It
makes some things easier.
I mean, there's mostly families, but then there was one group I kept noticing. There was 5 young guys in their 20s, all with their...
But there's lots of peoples around. It makes it
Spanish vowels. Japanese vowels. Oh, Spanish vowels. They're A, E, I, O, U. Mas sabe burro que tu. A, E, I, O, U.
What was it? Dokid had a video he was watching Kake Kukeko or something like that. I don't know. Can't believe Mom is checking out. No. No, chat. No.
I had to count how many there were. There was a bunch. I was like, what are these guys all together?
It's a bro time. They're all hanging out.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Let me see if anyone submitted. So, like I said, I pinned the link to ask questions of my dear mother. Let's see, where am I going? Over here. So, submit your questions there. Anything you want to ask away about me, about her. Let's see what questions we got.
What's funny, in a language you have absolutely, I can't say anything except for hello and thank you. I can't even, I keep trying to memorize some of the, I'm sorry or excuse me. Wait a second. Let me see. Wait. There was one today that I tried to memorize. Let me see if I get it right because I gave myself funny hints for it. It had mono. Oh, it had mono, but mono wasn't the beginning. Was that the middle? It had mono and ski. What was the more formal?
The more formal one is Gomenazai. Gomenazai.
Okay, I knew it was. I was saying mono, but I think in Spanish mono is hand. But But go, and I forgot the go. I knew it was the middle. I told myself go, and then manosai. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, I tried to learn one word today, and obviously failed at that. I tried to remember that, but no. I
don't even know if I'm saying it very well.
And I can say good morning and hello.
That's pretty much where I'm at, too. I've been here a couple months.
But it's funny that going into the store that, I mean, they just talk to you, whatever, and you have no clue what they're saying. But it's like, you can act like you know what they're saying and respond to it because you figure what, I mean, it's just,
you know they're going to ask you for the bag.
And
you just kind of nod and like gesture and then just say.
I held up. They asked me something, which I have no clue what they said.
I know, so
but I was holding a little bag. And it's like, see, they think I knew what they asked me. I mean, I have no idea what they said, but I held up my bag. And that's probably what they asked me. No.
And then you just kind of like bob your head and say, arigato gozaimasu. That's about all we got.
Yeah. So. Except they all know how to say thank you and you're welcome better than we know how to say arigato gozaimasu.
Well, yeah.
I mean, even little kids.
What about the rest of what you've seen so far, the scenery or any other interesting things you've noticed? The signs on the road, how they're like crooked?
Yes, you didn't notice that. I was like,
I never noticed that.
Why are the signposts? I mean, why not a straight up and down metal pole? But no, it goes up and it curves away from the road and then goes up.
Like towards the last top third.
Doesn't matter if it's at a sidewalk area, at grass, on the freeway thing, off in the middle of nowhere, there's all these crooked signs. Why do they bother with crooked signposts? But, seeing, I definitely, anywhere I go, I'd rather go see the outside stuff. I'm, bored with, I don't know.
Never been a city slicker.
Here wanted to go because when you were, wanted to do stuff without the boys and go have mommy-daughter time. And I was like, what? Go walk around the outlet mall? Gag. Yuck. I don't want to.
Oh, when I was younger. I was thinking here.
No, when you were when you were little. And so I've never wanted to go shopping or go walk around the outlet malls.
I guess I feel like having a bunch of brothers, especially.
That's when I drug you to the horses then. I was like, let me do something mommy-daughter. Let's go to the horses and go to camp. Go up the mountain. Yeah, I mean, I like seeing the mountains. Yeah. I'd like to run off down to the water and... in the more northern spot we went to today, that's very pretty to see. It was just brief, but seeing.
We found a cool cave, and there's lots of beaches around.
I know. I'm like, Google Maps, and I look, we're right here, and just zoom in within the 5 miles around us. I'm like, do you know there's a cave, like, right down the road from you?
I think I had it pinned. I think I pinned it on my map.
She hadn't.
Milliardo says the signposts reflexively shape themselves. That way they dodge typhoon debris.
Okay.
All right, let's see. So question time. First off, what's the strangest thing Minna has made? I guess probably food-wise. Or I guess other things, too.
Let's see. What's the strangest thing? Oh, I know something funny, strange you made, and I still have it. When you took a leaf at camp.
Yeah!
And you wrote on it, you barely read it, but nothing, no paper or anything, and folded up the leaf and put a stamp on it and mailed it to me.
Yeah.
And I got it.
It was cool. Yeah, I got folded up a leaf and mailed
Cooking was at one time, you actually caught yourself after, when you're
Are you going to bring up the pancakes?
Well, I'm talking about, anytime you're cooking and you grab baking soda.
No!
You're using spoons, and even when you're using spoons, even when you're using teaspoons or tablespoons, it's really easy for a kid to mess up and use. You wouldn't even use a tablespoon of baking soda, but when you're using measuring cups full of baking soda, and I thought it said a half cup when it said a half teaspoon. I think.
How old was I? I was
not super young.
I was probably 9. No, because we were at the farm. Right? I remember being at the farm. So I was probably 11?
Yeah, 11 or 12 or something. But I think you tried to, you had mixed up all the dry ingredients and actually caught yourself.
Yeah.
There are several times that you have cooked something and fed it to us, and we go, what the? And then you didn't catch yourself.
I don't remember those times.
I'm like, how much baking soda or baking powder did you put in here? But I think you You caught yourself, and then we're trying to do the math of how much you would put in there so that we could save that mix and kind of slowly add it into other. I don't know what happened to that.
I think we did do that for a while.
Your brother, on the other hand, had something that lived up in the cabinet above the washer and dryer.
Was that the
watermelon?
Yes,
something?
the watermelon
He
wine.
had been out of the house for years, and that was still up there.
That was really.
I don't know.
I remember we made that, and he was probably. He must have been like older teens,
what
right?
Did people say?
Nothing new yet.
What did Milliardo say? That was funny. Roxy was laughing.
Oh, he said. So this is the joke.
I know.
This is the joke for streamers. They have to ask if the person's single. Yep.
Signpost. Okay.
Okay. No, the watermelon wine. I think we did it and left it for like a year or something, and then tried it, and we're like, gross. And then I guess we just put it back.
Yeah, and then nobody did anything with it.
Yeah. Well, you would make, as I would call them, white experiments when you would play with, trying different things with milk.
Yeah, we had a big weird heater gas box thingy, and had a little ledge on it, and so I could do kitchen chemistry experiments with
and we're always
dairy products.
And I was
here, taste this. And they're like, no, I don't.
And now I feel bad because I wish I had been more supportive, because now I want to do that kind of experiment.
Because I'm like, okay, look, we took this stuff and added in a little bit of buttermilk, and next morning, let's see how it tastes.
Chat's asking, is she though? Are you single?
No. See the non-existent ring? I don't know. I never wear a ring. It was so bad. I was very newlywed. Within, I don't know, a year or something. And where I worked, there was, it was a touristy type stop. And so people stopped in to get information. And there was a young guy, I think he was a doctor and everything too, but it ended up being the stop where he swapped off custody of his little girl.
Oh gosh.
Yes. and he was a nice guy, and the guy was probably super nervous, and the bad thing was he came in and slipped me a piece of paper. Well, I went home and showed it to the other half, but I felt so bad for him because he was a little bit nervous, and he kind of slipped it through and then walked away. And then my first reaction was to hold up my hand and point to the non-existent ring that I didn't have on my finger. Huh? So, he probably looked and seen no ring. Most young, 20-something women out there that are married are probably wearing a ring. But, this was also back in the 90s. But, I don't know. I all wore rings, but I don't know. I never
wear a ring. I still think it's funny how you describe, how you'd have, what, invisible husband or something?
Oh, yeah. Let's not talk about that. Because that would mean the OG is dead.
Yeah. But you don't want to deal with other people, so you just pretend he wasn't.
Well, the real impetus for that was for the farm, and the farm has business on it, and so the husband was always at work, not anymore, but at the beginning of the farm was always at work, and I was dealing with all the business and lots of different types of guys that come around for business, and just always was a thing about, my husband this or my husband that, or he's at work, and I realized one day, just talking to these different men and the interaction and I thought, oh man, if I actually didn't have a husband, what kind of flack I would catch, or the types of how it would change I was like, oh yeah. I was like, okay, so if ever I am husbandless, I have an invisible ghost husband that is at work. He just exists
24/7.
Yes. I was like, no.
Not dealing with that.
Oh, because there's so many guys that have to come by, and still, they'd be, nice, but not disrespectful, but they like to chat and talk to the woman and whatever. And I was thinking, ooh, if they thought I was single, yuck. What type of conversations and crap would I get?
I just find it really funny.
Let's hear an embarrassing story about young Minna.
Oh.
How young? We don't want to talk about the very young Minna because that's a little bit too embarrassing.
What, me running away from home? Like,
those are you in the front yard with Walter watching on. Neighbors watching.
I was very free spirit. I wasn't going to be contained by the bounds of social norms of where you should use the bathroom.
She was not constrained by any,
All right.
social politeness.
We could talk about hair incidences.
Oh.
How often I would mess up my hair.
Yeah. I mean, and the last time wasn't even your hair. You were probably over 7 or 8 years old and come up behind me and cut on my hair while I was at the computer without me realizing it.
It was only like that, like inch.
I don't know, but I stood up and there's hair on the floor. And I'm like, why is there hair on the floor?
Did I do that before or after the hippo incident?
After.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the hippo, that was pretty bad. But young Minna, from the time she was 3.
Not an actual hippo, chat. It was like, it was a Velcro puppet that I had my hair in a ponytail and I stuck it on my head and the Velcro got stuck to my hair. But instead of taking the ponytail out so I could like slide the strands of hair through the little Velcro thing.
She had her hair in ponytails. And so, yeah, when the hippo was Velcroed and it was the tough part of the Velcro, the top of her hair, and she couldn't get it out. So she just started snipping the hair around the hippo until she got out. And nothing happened. She thought she was golden because, her hair's in ponytails. It's all held tight there. Until I realized looking closer that above her ponytails there's, little hairs just sticking straight up. So you go to undo the ponytail and some of the hair is just,
come out. I think I had a big spot
well
on
before
top of my
the
head.
farm, way down in the first state you lived in, you cut your hair really young.
I trimmed my bangs. I
Yeah,
remember.
you tried to make.
I would have I wanted my scissors all the time.
Yes, well, see, little dough kid just the other day, something we were saying about scissors, and I even mentioned.
I used to carry my scissors around,
and that was his age.
Yeah,
and had a little homemade apron I had made you, and so you wore that a lot, like everywhere. Yeah. Kind of just like dough kid, you never wanted to put a clean shirt on. Never wanted to brush your hair either. So in the warm weather state that we lived in, I didn't fight with trying to fix your hair or put clean clothes on you. We had a floppy hat, and you wore a hat out of the house anywhere we went because that tangled rat's nest. And then I would put that cute apron over top of whatever grungy stuff you were wearing, and off we'd go. But yeah, you'd go to church groups and stuff like that, and then adults would freak out like, oh, she had scissors on her. I was going to take them away from her. I'm like, no, she carries scissors everywhere. Could you imagine letting your dough kid have scissors all over the place right now?
You've always been a very chill mom.
I don't know. But we would get the booklets from the welcome centers and stuff that had cute
Oh, I remember like road trips. I'd want to get the booklets and have my scissors and cut
because it had all
out.
these coupons, so you would just cut.
Yeah.
But
I also would cut out I had like a couple
Did you
horse
cut
magazines.
Your brother's hairs any?
I don't
know.
think so. No, one time we tried to prank you
Invisible
saying,
ring,
wait.
Invisible husband.
We tried to prank you one time that someone cut my hair, right?
Yeah.
Didn't we? Like, there was me and the 2 older brothers, and you were gone, and we called you saying that one of them had cut my hair. I think we tried to prank you. Did that happen?
Well, that one friend of yours that called me, Aunt whatever.
Yeah.
Called me on the phone.
Oh, yeah,
and
that
was
time.
like, guess what, Auntie? I cut Minna's hair. And I'm like, no, you didn't. Oh, yeah, I did. I was like, no, you did not. I don't believe you. It
was true.
It was true. And
it was true.
Right before her brother's wedding.
Yeah. I did a good job on her hair. So the story of that was we had to spend the night, and there was some, like, best friend book or something, and you're supposed to put a lock of each other's hair. And then she was like, oh, let's trim each other's hair. So I gave her hair a little trim, and I did fine. And I think I was, around 12, I think? And my hair was, waist length. And then she was like, okay, just a tiny trim, because I didn't want mine short. But she must have, had it uneven, and so she kept going up and up, and it was, just below my shoulders. Okay, and when she was done, and that's the shortest my hair has ever been, and it was
Roxy
so
is
sad.
Commenting on the knife.
Let's see.
The holding the knife.
Okay, we gotta explain
if Minna
this.
was obsessed and always had scissors on her. Somehow, inadvertently, I don't do it on purpose. I'm always holding the knife.
You're talking. No. What's happened is you talk with your hands,
and I've got a knife around kids. And every party we're at, a knife never leaves my hand. I mean,
because you're chopping stuff up for people, and then like you're chopping the food. Or
I'm about to cut a birthday cake, and so then I run over to the hot tub, do this, and I'm talking, and everybody's going, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" The knife, and I'm like, "What?" Okay, so bad that I tried to be like real cute and do something. I do not like take selfies. Really, I take pictures now, but I was trying with back at the farm. The youngest grandson down there was kind of doing something with me separate from sisters for once in a blue moon, and so I thought, I'm going to sit here and carve this pumpkin with him, and he was being really funny with the guts and everything, and I don't even know why I had I don't know. I think I even had three, at least two, but 3 knives in my hand. But I grabbed the darn phone of other kiddos that I accidentally broke the front camera on, so I had it in... Oh, so you can't do so? Which way is it?
It would be the front-facing camera.
Whichever one's broken, so I'm holding it, trying to take a cute picture of him, and holding it funky and snapping, and I didn't even notice until like a couple days later that I'm holding I haven't even.
It's like you see the pumpkin and the kid, and in the side there's a hand with like 3 knives in it.
I mean, like right next to him, and of course, because I'm twisting myself and gyrating, and I have no idea what this hand is doing with knives. But I thought, oh my God, they've been ragging on me for about 3 years now about you with your knives, to the point that some stranger kid that came to other little sis's birthday party, that she always goes, remember that birthday party when that random kid came? And I'm like, yeah, friend of, the other in-laws. And I think later it was mentioned, oh yeah, when my name was brought up, that kid was like, you mean the lady with the knife? I'm like, yeah, seriously. Lady with the knife. I'm always got a knife in my hand.
You're talking with your hands, you're busy in the kitchen, you're cutting something, and then you're talking, and you just cap the knife in your hand.
I never put the knife down. I think Milliardo even said something.
Milliardo's always like, calm down.
Put the knife down. I was like, no, the knife's fine. I need to use it.
So that's the story of the knife.
I don't know why I had 3 knives with those pumpkins. I don't know what I was
different
doing.
Knives for carving.
I don't know.
So many knives. Many knives.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's just random and chaotic.
Pretty much. Controlled chaos is the vibe.
I mean, I take the same little grandkids and paint with them. And I just strip them down to their underwear now. But, in the living room. And it's chaos and mess, and they're all at it. And then I'm like, how does their mommy manage at the nice kitchen table to paint with them, and they come up with really cute, their pumpkins get painted, or they do some little canvases. And I was like, I don't know. I do it, and I try to start out that way, but it turns into chaos and mess. I don't know.
I feel like, well, and there was never your personality too would never vibe with this, but nowadays there's all the, Pinterest moms are feeling the pressure of like, you have to have this perfect setup. I don't think you ever had that pressure. You never, even if it was like present or around, you never.
What kind of questions?
All right, let's see. Let's see. Embarrassing stories about Minna.
Yeah. Most embarrassing things Minna's done, but that's just so many. I mean, I'm trying to think of ones that aren't just like so cringe.
Bring on the cringe. Let me think of any that I remember.
I mean,
what are ones that I don't
recently
remember?
A thing was brought up about the cup on the counter in the bathroom. And,
yeah, we can leave stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
that one I found out about it, and I just was like, oh my God, I would have never thought you were doing that. And
wasn't it just peeing in the cup though?
Yes, but somehow it was either the boys or I had been at a doctor or something, but you had just decided that you would just run in the bathroom, go pee, grab it off the counter. You would sit to go pee the same, but you would pee in the cup, dump it, and put it back on the counter. I mean, but you just randomly mentioned that to me. You've probably been doing it for weeks, and I'm just looking, and it's my bathroom, and there really wasn't anything on it. It's not like now. There wasn't a mess. I mean, and I'm just looking at my counter and this cup and going, I'm glad I've just been using my hands to like get swishy water after I brush my teeth. I mean, what the heck?
What was it? The one time you said it was like one thing after another where I like squeezed toothpaste in the carpet.
The little crazy Energizer bunny Minna. She just always was. But yeah, there was one day in particular that I had to just commit to memory because I don't know.
Traumatized you so much.
Under 2, but so
Tim says, wasn't I just peeing in the cup though? What? The lavish line cook fear is the Minna mom.
I mean, she had brothers, and I mean, the other embarrassing things is just outdoors. She could just whip it down, pee, and whip right back up as quick as a boy. She had this technique. We won't go into details, but she had a technique, and she was good at it.
When I had 4 brothers, I guess when I was that age, I probably had like 2, but still.
I think that was, Dad embarrassing, talking to a neighbor and being like, dude, don't turn around right now. Please just don't turn around.
I mean, at least I was like a toddler, but yeah.
This was funny though.
Oh,
it made me think because it says same neighbors. And go over, and I remember they were going, what the heck? We went over there. You would go and get every single pair of underwear and little shorts and pants out of, you had a room, you didn't sleep in or whatever, but you were the only girl, so I had a room full of girly stuff and my old dresser and everything. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, you just had a thing of going in there like it was your job every day, opening the drawers and getting out every single pair. And this was warm weather state we lived in, so only had just cotton shorts and underwear. And just come out of there where you had like taken the time to put on. And in little tiny tot fashion, it was hilarious because, some of the pairs of underwears are short. Both legs would end up through the same hole. So it's like that. But then the next one you'd put on, the legs ended up through the proper holes. So you'd come out with this huge bubble butt of like 10, pairs of underwear and 5 pairs of shorts just piled and layered on top of each other. And of course, you didn't want to be messed with. It was your thing. You'd done it. We couldn't stop you. And you'd end up over visiting at the neighbors like that. And they'd be like, well, now that's interesting.
At this point, it's like, why argue?
Yeah.
What about older? Trying to think of any.
See, what's crazy
What's
stuff?
funny, embarrassing stories?
I don't know. Watching you get clotheslined off of Frankie, bar at the bar. That was just, if you videoed it, that was just, I don't know.
On my horse?
Yeah, on Frankie and cantering up to the barn and had this open area, but there was one random board there just at a funny height. And
I don't even remember that. I remember clotheslining or like swan diving off the other horse that was bucking, I think.
No, but this one, let's see, you bent back like doing the limbo. Or did you put your hands up?
I must have put my hands up. I feel like I did.
But the horse went, and then you just went flying straight off the back of the horse. It was just really, really comical.
Is it like watching, for toddlers, especially when they do something that's like, they get hurt, but it's also kind of hilarious?
Yeah. Either that or I'm mad and aggravated with them. Just, what the heck did you do that for?
Yeah. Yeah, your response more often than not, instead of like, oh, are you okay? Is like, what'd you go do something like that for?
What'd you go do something stupid like that for? Let's see, what else is really funny about you when you were?
I was very trying to get me to wash my hands at KFC.
Yeah, very much the
obstinate. I'm gonna do it my way. It's gonna be my idea.
Don't tell her pointedly, you need to go do this, because I was pregnant and hungry, and we'd been at a playground that very sandy, and the sand turns you black in this state. Mm-hmm. And you were heading down the hallway to where the bathrooms were, and I told you to go wash your hands. And it was almost like in a movie where the character just kind of stops and freezes, like going on, all of a sudden it's just kind of like hit a brick wall and frozen. And then this pause, and then this just refusal. And I was just so done, so tired. Argued with you. Brothers came out with their hands washed. And I finally was like, look, we're just leaving. Come on, forget it. We're just leaving. And you've been arguing, gesturing, stomping, whatever you were doing. In the middle of this, you didn't even stop. You just kept... You're thrashing around being mad, and then started to morph it into this, doing these funky movements. And I'm like, what is she doing? And we're having this big argument about whether we're just going to leave because you're not going to wash your hands. And it turns into you doing these funny stretches and up and downs and everything. And you're like, I was going to wash my hands. I just had to do my exercises first.
It had to be my idea.
So let's see, that kiddo, you were 4 when he was born. Mm-hmm. And you turned 4, right? So you might not have even been quite 4.
Yeah.
You were about to be 4. Whew. So, yeah. You could be a
so you're
pistol.
noticing that Dough Baby's personality is maybe a little bit like mine.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in for it.
Dough Kid is more sensitive and maybe a little bit like some of your brothers.
So Dough Kid is like my dancy, like, daydreaming little elf guy. And then Dough Baby, ever since he's been born, he's like my tank, like my little dwarf, and he's gonna be, cannonball and messing up all his brother's little things.
Yeah, he's starting to be very Milliardo. Looked at him just yesterday. Oh, he's awfully independent, and I'm like, yeah, that's coming out, and I know how independent it was. After any indication, and you were that age when we moved to the one house with the pool. Mm-hmm. And trying to go for a walk, and you can see it with him. He's thinking and calculating, and got that look like that. You would kind of calculate what it was we wanted to do and which directions we were going to go to pick the opposite to do. And so we would play little mind games as we try to take a walk down the neighborhood, and the boys would get in on it of trying to trick you of which way we didn't want you to go and which way we did to make you, do reverse psychology and
just to walk down the street.
Yeah, walk into a grocery store, and luckily there was oldest kiddo that was not all that old. He was 5 when you were born, so at this point he's probably 6, but he's a pretty big and responsible kiddo.
Big enough to.
He was really good with younger kids, but no, I didn't even pretend that I was going to keep you with me in a grocery store.
I remember
follow that kid, and I could
so
hear them
many
aisles
times.
down, and his goal was to keep you moving, and he knew that he could keep you moving and kind of spook you a little bit and make sure you didn't stop, because if you stopped, you would cause chaos on the shelves. So
I remember so many times, like little core memories of there's what I remember of my childhood that's like me remembering it, and then there's little glimpses that I remember it,
Yeah.
So hiding in the clothes sections, and I'd just go and play and hide in the clothes, and then when I was done, I'd just go up to someone and be like, hey, can you call my mom?
Oh, I know. There's so many times, even at 5 years old, that you would just confidently go to the craft section in Walmart and be chatting with the lady about what she was doing and really interested, and the lady just assumed mom was in the aisles here in the craft section, and be talking to you for 10 minutes, and then you would suddenly go, oh, by the way, I couldn't find my mom. Can you just pay? And the lady would be cracking up, and I was actually, I would be looking for you, and then after 10 minutes of not finding you, I'd really be going, ugh, she's in here somewhere, but I can't find her, and I'm going to have to tell somebody that I've lost my kid. And then about the time that I'm trying to decide, then I hear my name, and I go there, and the lady is just cracking up and laughing, because she's like, I just assumed her mom was here, and she was so interested in this thing I was doing and asking me all these questions, and then just nonchalantly.
Very confident. It's like a 2-year-old I'd take off into the 4th of July crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, that was in the warm state. And when you were really little, and it was really crowded and loud, and I got so tired trying, because you would just get so bracy against me trying to contain you.
Oh gosh, I can see.
And I
can
grabbed
see
you and brought you back,
and
grabbed you and brought you back, and grabbed you and brought you back. Yeah,
Dough Baby's gonna be like this. Oh no, and I don't have older siblings for him.
And today he was practicing his purposeful expression of anger, to the point when I mentioned that we got home, I was like, he was doing stuff in the car to look at his room up, do his face a certain way, and yell with anger and laugh about it. And in the kitchen, when I commented that he was, practicing his clench his fist, he looked right at us, he did it, he laughed, and then he did it again and made his face red, and was and demonstrating to us how he can show, on purpose.
Him and Dough Kid were screeching at each other in the car on the drive home, back and forth, screeching at each other.
But yeah, you get so mad at me for grabbing you and dragging you back where it's supposed to be, that I decided to just let you go. I mean, we're in a very crowded place with massive speakers, and I decided to make sure you couldn't see me, but I just kept an eye on you through the crowd, and I was following you, and just 2 years old, and I thought, oh, let's see where she gets spooked, or with these noise, or with people and everything. I don't know. I followed you probably for a good 10 or 15 minutes, and I finally just went and got, I mean, you could care less, you know.
Oh, your technique for getting me to finally come back to you.
Oh, yeah, I would just purposefully get you looking behind if I really wanted to contain you, like at SeaWorld or something, and you were refusing to let me hold you. Well, you've seen how Dough Baby was acting today.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, that's how Dough Baby was acting today.
No, I needed like, that kid to be like the third or the fourth kid. I needed older kids before I get the kid that's like me.
So then I would be watching you, and I'd, act like I'm going to get you, and get you all like running away from me enough, but close enough that you were turning around to see where I was, and inevitably, the 2-year-old is going to fall, trying to run and look backwards at the person. So if I got tired of trying to get you to cooperate, carry you around, sit in the food area with us, I would let you run away, but come after you in an aggressive enough manner that you would end up tripping, and crying. So then you're crying, then I could get you.
What am I going to do? I'm not going to have an older sibling to help chase him down, and I'm going to be dealing with Dough Kid between, I don't know. Dough Baby is so cute, and now his personality and his challenges are coming out.
Yeah,
I'm just going to be...
Minna's delayed twin was really, really cute. And Dough Baby's little hair framing his face in the way looks exactly like Minna's delayed twin that was born, 7 years after you?
That's the youngest boy.
Yeah.
Whew, he gave us a ride.
He looked just so...
He was so cute. So cute.
So adorable.
So crazy.
Yeah. I think Dough Baby doesn't have quite the fiery rage that he had in him that could set off. I think Dough Baby.
Well, because you said when I was a baby, when I was a kid, you were like, man, if I had a boy version of you, I'd be in trouble.
Yeah,
and then I got it. Then you did.
Well, I had well, the problem is the boy that came after you. I said if I could have, all of them like this, I'd have 10 of them. He was so easy. I mean, we even called him the happiest little grumpy baby, because if he got upset in the car, he was upset about something. It was so easy to just make him,
laugh.
Go for
he was always laughing.
Laughter. And
he was like a little comedian. He was so funny.
Yeah, and he just wanted to be to everybody.
It's funny because as he got older, he got so
like,
serious.
Oh, well, I could have 10 of them like this. And then that was the first one that we popped out easy on our own without any pain or nothing. And I was like, dang, I figured out the right way to do this now. I can have
no more hospitals.
Then we had the next one, which was Minna's delayed twin, and he kind of shell-shocked the whole family for about 5 years.
But at that point, you had like teen boys that could throw him around.
But it took everybody to handle him. I mean, it took everybody tag teaming, to toss this kid around and engage him and keep him engaged and not destroying something.
Always.
But
I remember, crash, boom, bangs. Here's something fall down the stairs. He had pushed a little kid table down the stairs.
He was the last for me in my mind. He done us in, and especially we bought the farm, which I always crack up. I bought the farm. Bought the farm when he was 3, and so he was still giving us a run for our money then. About the time he was 4.5, I could kind of do some stuff that was like, you know what? This can be a successful outing,
Yeah.
This might actually work without disaster. And here I'm pregnant with youngest sis. And I remember holding little guy's hand and going somewhere and this is manageable. And this dreading, what have I got myself in for? You never know. I mean, it's such a grab bag of personality.
It is. Yeah.
It's a blind bag, and I was just dreading.
It's like the ultimate gotcha.
What am I gonna get?
It's the ultimate gotcha chat. I have a kid. It's the ultimate gotcha. Oh man, Temp's loving the stories.
Yeah.
What other stories do we have? So during little sis's pregnancy, you didn't tell anyone. You didn't tell anyone. No. And I was selling Girl Scout cookies, and we ran into our priest. Well, and I had been suspecting, because at this point I was, 11? Yeah. 12. And 12. I was kind of suspecting. I was like, something's up. Mom's mad all the time. Called it macho. Looking back, I called it macho pregnant. mom time because you were just not happy for a while. But then we were just, I was selling a bunch of Girl Scout cookies. Just got out of the newspaper office, ran into our priest and talking to him, and you just dropped it. You just dropped it there, and I was like, what?
It was because the little girl Jenna at our church had been injured. Mm-hmm. And, it was just like tearing me up about that. And then I happened to, I was talking to him about that and then dropped it about me.
And I was like, I hadn't had any confirmation. And so I was like, what?
We never did tell the story about the day you did all the things. Okay. Crazy little Minna. And she's just a whirlwind of activity. And so it started, I'm thinking it started in the closet, in the kitchen pantry with the drink mixes that, trying to do stuff in the kitchen. And I don't know, 2.5, 3-year-old you, probably 2.5, because I remember thinking, you didn't stray too far from me yet, because you never even really went and did anything in the bathroom on your own.
Yeah.
You didn't. So in the kitchen and had the pantry open, and just letting you mess with the cans and boxes and the bags. But you're getting into stuff, of course. You're going to want to try to open some sugar and sprinkle this and that. But then I thought I was safe with what I'd let you play with, but it's kind of like the Country Time lemonade drink mixes. There was a couple in there and something else, and I turn around and you've gotten tops off of several things and you're just pouring things back.
I remember loving doing that as a kid. Like, I thought I was making like potions. I just pour like a container of like liquid or something back and forth between the cups.
And it's like trying to get her to stop, and her fighting, of course, making a mess. And I was like, okay, so I got you to stop, and I was cleaning up that mess, but you didn't leave my side. You were right there, and I got my back to you, and I finally cleaned that up, and I turn around. Somehow you have a black Sharpie. I don't know where a black Sharpie came from in your reach. And there's a small kitchen there. You hadn't gone anywhere, and it wasn't even a kitchen that had like a lot of junk drawer office supply. It wasn't a kitchen like some of ours that has a lot of stuff in it. So you were just holding your arm straight out with the Sharpie, and just like in your own la la world, your own music, just kind of spinning around, just turning and turning and turning around, getting all the cabinets. I was just going around and around in a circle with a black Sharpie. I'm like, what the? And I got that away from you, and I don't know exactly what I was doing. But then I realized that if I was standing in the kitchen, there's a big pass-through window looking straight into the living room, dining room. It's a small house, just a little combo open area there. And I had this Oriental rug that I bought myself with my own money when I was a teenager. And I thought, I was like, ooh, I'm going to buy me something special. But it was sitting there, and you were there. I could see you there, and like, what are you doing? And you had a tube of toothpaste. And like I said, it was like, you had never gone into the bathroom yet at that point, and gotten anything or gone and gotten the tooth. And so you would have thought a 2-year-old, if they went in the bathroom and got toothpaste, would be like squirting and messing with toothpaste in the bathroom. But you had gone down the hallway, gotten a tube of toothpaste, and you were at the Oriental rug just basically finger painting the rug with toothpaste. I'm like, what? And then while I was cleaning up the toothpaste, Lord knows what you did next. I don't know. I think you went and got your brother's beads, where he did bead animals, and we had sorted big ones and little ones, and I think you dumped them all out and I don't know. It's like every time I picked up one thing you were doing, I turn around and you're doing something that you've never done before, that you've never even looked at before, that's completely unique, one thing after another.
I was just having a big growth spurt day.
I don't know.
Mental leaps.
Yeah.
Caterpillar stories.
Oh, boy. Yeah,
we'll just immortalize all these funny stories about me.
Yeah, there was several times that we had butterflies or some caterpillars that we let hatch in the house. Remember Dad was painting one time because there was one way up on the ceiling he kept having to get for you. Of course, by the time you were playing with the butterflies, the poor things were a bit lethargic and a little bit wing messed up, so they weren't going very far, but you would love the things to death. All day
literally.
Long. Yeah, so you often had caterpillars or butterflies until the one time down at the boat ramp for a homeschool 4-H something, you got the most awesome caterpillar that you were carrying around everywhere, and you took it to the chiropractor's office, and you took it. This thing was and it started to look a little funny after a day or so. I don't know how many days we had it, but it was getting, it was just getting a little bit, I don't know, flaccid, weird looking. I don't know. But evidently it was a type of caterpillar that a wasp will lay its eggs in. And so in a very, very disturbing and disgusting manner, these larvae were erupting from this pet caterpillar. It was quite gross. I don't know how many times you had butterflies in the house, though. I can remember a bunch. You had that one rabbit. Rabbit that you took everywhere in the house, and you'd plop it down at the table to eat breakfast with it every morning.
I remember pictures, because I always like looking through the photo album we had of like random pictures from when I was little, and it was like that brown couch, and I made like a little fort for it and stuff, a little white bunny.
What was Dough Kid and the Ducks last night?
Dough Kid's, let's see.
Oh, like me.
Like Dough Kid.
I forget which story we were telling that was.
Let's see. The Ducks.
The Ducks.
Talking about kids getting hurt. Where, okay, so we went to this little garden that had a bunch of lights set up, and we're walking around, and, you know, Dough Kid's a bit ahead of us, and then there's Milliardo, and then I'm slightly behind him, and there's just these, like, ducks walking around. And, you know, as I kind of catch up, you know, Dough Kid's kind of, like, standing there, kind of, like, watching the white duck, seeing what it's doing. The duck's kind of, like, slowly walking towards him, probably just looking for food. And I kind of, like, as I catch up, kind of start heading towards to kind of, like, you know, see if Dough Kid needs help, or, you know, see what the duck's doing. And Milliardo's just like, hold up, I want to see what he does. Nothing really happened, but he was just like, man, that was such a dad moment. All right, let's see.
We had a duck, and the picture that I ended up snapping had Minna with this crazy, like, oh, look on her face
from the other day?
No, in Chattown.
Okay.
Up north of the farm.
Yeah.
And we had sister-in-law and sister-in-law's kids.
Oh, the guy that had a duck. Oh my gosh.
Duck
the guy
in a wagon.
In a wagon.
And a boombox.
Playing what song?
I don't know. But
it's
like, watch my duck dance. But it's like the duck wasn't doing anything.
The duck just
guy
sat
was
there.
Weird. But
and he was like looking for tips, and it was just a duck in a wagon, and there was music. Oh, and then one of the grandbaby girls.
So that was the picture. I was snapping these cute pictures of the two grandbaby girls going up and seeing, and so we got this progression of pictures of them going up, one smiling, one going ooh and like pointing its finger, and then the next second this duck is like chomping toward little kid's nose, and I caught this picture of Minna, kind of the closest because and let's see, so Dough Kid wasn't in the shots. Dough Kid and I were off to the side, eating the ICECREAM. You know, grown-ups aren't. I know grown-ups aren't allowed to say that. We have to spell it.
He's asleep. He can't hear us. We can say ice cream.
So we're off to the side, and he's not in the pictures. But you being, you know, concerned you, mom. I mean, you're like jumping up in the picture. You're like in midair with your hands out and your face like, and then the kid's actual mom is standing right behind you with her hand coming up to her mouth, just about to die laughing. But it's the most epic picture I have. Doug is like in mid-bite at this kid's nose, and the kid's going,
yeah. Okay, I can think of other funny, like, moments of my face being funny. There was, so, youngest boy, the crazy one, he kept his hair long for a long time. Like, it was like mid-back. And I was gone for a couple months. And I came back, and I guess it had like matted, and he shaved it.
No, it wasn't matted. I mean,
but he had it braided.
He decided it was in a ponytail. He decided he was going to get it cut, but he wanted to ask me how to keep it. So he had
Does
long,
he still have it?
Oh, yeah, he's put it on recently for people. When kids come over,
how does he keep it clean?
That. How does he keep it clean? What do you mean clean? So he had his hair. I mean, it was cleanly washed before we cut it. So he had it just in a ponytail. I mean, it's long, you know, it's a good couple feet of hair. And so put up in a ponytail, and I just, as close as I could, just started to, you know, scalp him. So it was just kind of cut all around. And so it pulled away as this ponytail with, you know,
cap,
kind of a
a
wig
hair
cap,
cap.
you know, a wig cap. And so he can stick it on his head now, and he can just take a ball cap, put the ball cap on, you know, and then put the ponytail through the back of the ball cap, and it looks like he has his long hair. Yeah, and
So
yeah,
I was
your
gone.
face.
I was gone.
Oh my gosh. Well, Minna had already gotten really mad at me when he was more like 4. One time I trimmed his hair.
He was so cute. He was so cute.
He was adorable, and
he had the little blonde hair with the little
twin. And so, like, when he was, you know, 3, she would dress him up. Yeah, she wanted a sister, you know, but she didn't have a sister.
Yeah.
So, you know, he got dressed up, did hair, did all kind of stuff with her, and his hair was just so gorgeous, and she got so mad at me when I trimmed up and cut his hair when he was little. So then he never cut his hair until he went to a Christian camp when he was about 8 years old, and they bribed him with
the like teen counselors.
They bribed him with like 8 ice cream bars to cut his hair. He had long hair, and he says, you know, they never even gave him his ice cream. Funny story is I was at that camp. You know, this was 10 years ago. That kid's 18.
Shoot.
I was at that camp, you know, a weekend, you know, literally days before I came here. I spent the weekend there with the Girl Scouts, and the main guy, and he knows, and he knows who I am, but there was an older man, and I was chatting, and this is 10 years ago. I didn't expect him, and then I started talking about my son and getting his hair cut. And he goes, I remember that. Those kids got in so much trouble. I said, you know, my little kid said, they didn't even give me all the ice creams they promised. He goes, that just makes it worse. But this camp, you know, he's legend there. It's a cool camp. It's very different. I don't think you'd find anything like it. It's not an organization. It's a private place. This old man started it years ago. Built this massive planetarium in the middle of nowhere, and it's private property. They're private homes.
I've never really been there except to like pick up people. I've never like gone there.
You never went to the homeschool days? Like, we went to some shows. You've never gone to a show at the planetarium?
I guess so.
But it's very fundy Christian, but they're sweet, wonderful people.
I just like the story where
a beautiful property, and they built up this camp, and it's just their own family little camp, and they run summer camps there.
Yeah. I just remember, what was it?
They let all the kids blast off rockets.
Yeah, I remember that. But the what was it? When he was there for camp, and the youngest boy, you know, coming home, and he was, I forget how old he was, but he was like, yeah, we're, you know, saying prayers, and it's like, oh, who would you like to pray for? And he's like, it's this very, I guess, more Protestant Christian camp, and he goes, let's pray for the souls in purgatory.
Yes, my little 9-year-old little waif of a guy.
Had to throw that in there.
So, yeah.
But anyway, so I come home after like 2 months of being gone from home. I was off learning the secrets of my favorite writers.
So at that point, his hair had grown. Let's see, if you were...
It was like mid-back.
You were 18, and he's 7 years younger than you.
Mm-hmm.
So he was 11 then? Was he really? Okay,
yeah.
So his hair had grown from age 8 to 11 now. It
was pretty long.
Yeah. He might have been... No, you were 19. You were 19. So he was 12.
No.
Because you still did dance at 18. We went to Chincoteague.
Yes, okay, I was 19. Island. Okay, yeah.
So anyway, yeah, you were 19. So I was going to say, I didn't think he was 11. He was 12.
Yeah.
So his hair had been growing from age 8 to, at this point, 12, and it was long.
So I come home, I drove all the way back, and, road tripping most of the day, get back, it's late, finally see everyone, in the kitchen, saying hi to everyone, and then he just, takes his hat off.
And all the hair comes with it. He's got a buzz cut.
And I look at it, and I have the craziest face staring at him.
We have so
we
many.
Snap some pictures of me just like, what?
Yeah, we have the facial expressions. Not just a, but then a,
and then looking at him.
Together. I know,
like,
you were like,
And then I think the other one, there's one Christmas, there was the, what was it, the battle rosary? Combat rosary that I'd wanted. And you guys made a whole game of it.
Oh.
Where it was because we did that Christmas at we were opening those presents at Grandpa's house.
Okay.
And it was box in a box in a box in a box.
Oh,
and so
that one year I did all that. I think it was just to make something a little more interesting with all you older kids. Yeah, I did all the presents box in a box in a box.
Yeah. And it was funny because I remember the first box or two, I wanted to look under the flaps and they were like, no, keep going. So I'm going through, and I kind of knew what it was. I was like, oh, it's gonna be my cool rosary. And so then I get to the last one, and you got the camera, and I'm like, it's my rosary, and I like pull it out of the box as I say it, and then my face looking at it was like this cheap little. Like, it was just this plastic rosary. It was a bait and switch. And so my face, like, being like, oh, it's the cool, combat metal rosary. And I pull it out as this little plastic orange one. And my face got some great faces in that one. And then the actual one was, like, hidden under the box flap that I tried to look at first. Me and my faces. All right, we should look at some of the other questions.
Oh, yes. What questions do we have
Let's see. Most embarrassing thing as a child.
There's tips. This is, are there any tips about VTubing you wouldn't know until after you've been doing it for a while? Sorry if this matches it. Okay, let's see. Any VTubing you wouldn't know?
Okay, let's see. Any tips about VTubing I wouldn't know? I didn't know anything at first. Let's say you wouldn't know until after you start doing it after a while. All right, so I guess what I would wish I had known, I guess, kind of question.
No, well, I guess.
Okay,
well, I would say that after watching it, it's like, well, you better make sure you have somebody like Milliardo, the tech person around, because every single time, even what you insist the other is like, oh, XYZ is happening, or this is happening, what do I do? I'd be like, yeah, you better have somebody the techie person to fix these things, because every single time there's going to be some new little glitch.
Always
why is this doing this? Why isn't that working? Why did this
stuff.
cut off? I don't know what it was the other day. You were like, oh,
the Fugi was not
and I don't even know the names and turns. I'm like, there's too many turns.
Milliardo had to sit me down and even just the general sort of language and culture and stuff around VTubing of what's scuff, what's this, what's that. I had to sit on the couch and ask him all these questions. The scuff, all the behind the scenes setup, just getting everything set up to go live and make sure nothing goes wrong.
I don't like tech. I hate tech.
You finally had to give up your flip phone, right?
Well, only because the whole fiasco this summer about Grandpa passing away and trying to get rid of his house, and in that crazy mess while everybody else was in Vietnam, that my phone got left at that house, and I came back looking for it. It was run over in the road.
Oh, I hadn't heard about that.
That was a crazy.
Your flip phone?
Because, gosh, that was the beginning of them being gone to Vietnam, because then...
that's a great way to start.
The day they literally came back from Vietnam, I finally got a tiny bit of sleep until midnight, and then I ended up in the ICU with Grandpa next however many. That was my Mother's Day weekend, hanging out in the ICU. Yeah, that whole them heading to Vietnam and them coming back from Vietnam while they're gone was like, can this just be done with? I am so done with all
But no,
of this.
you kept your flip phone for the longest time.
Actually, I am using my flip phone again. I have to. I had to put my SIM card back in it, because this silly thing that was Grandpa's, that I stuck the only reason, mine got run over. Mm-hmm. And I could answer calls on it, but I couldn't push any buttons or see any screens. Mm-hmm. And then I took the SIM card out of it and put it in this smartphone. Mm-hmm. But my SIM card is only just for calls, not even text or anything. But that was fine. I was carrying this darn thing around to take pictures or get on the internet during Wi-Fi. And so now, okay, it can answer my calls. Fine and dandy, except I hate how stupidly big it is, because I can't just have it slipped in my pocket. And I'll be cleaning the pool or running outside to do this, and this thing just gets left in that. And I was hating that I missed calls, because the flip phone, I could at least just stick it in my pocket and it's there. I can hear the stupid thing ring. And I hate having the bulkiness of this around. But right before I came here, within a few days before, because it was the day that I was rushing around trying to get to the camp, mm-hmm. with, having to take 19 little Girl Scouts camping and have the food and everything ready. Suddenly, my phone would not make calls. It said that this device is blocked. And
why?
Well, because AT&T kind of wanted this thing back, and I kind of just didn't give it back to them, because my name's not on the contract. What are they going to do? Same with the Discover card. I didn't sign for those charges. Anyway, they blocked.
This is live. You're being sketchy mom again. Sketchy mom.
So anyway, I took the SIM card out and put it back in one of the flip phones. Actually, not the broken flip phone. Not the, well, it is broken. Not the run over flip phone. The run over flip phone.
Which one is the one that when you made a call, you had to hold it at an angle?
That is your dad's flip phone. And your dad actually spent, the $150 and bought a little smartphone and stuck his SIM card in it when he saw me using a SIM card in mine. So his is sitting on the kitchen table. So I stuck my SIM card in it. And I say the non-broken one, but it is broken. If you have it open and you're talking, the other person can't hear a thing you're saying. It's super, super faint. So you have to hold it like part way closed, part way open.
45-degree angle or something.
Yeah, just right, and kind of hold it firmly, together.
And your laptop, you had that laptop that was like broken forever.
That
and you just
was
kept
when
using
Kid was born, literally.
Yeah, and you had that for years. I'm like, you could just get another laptop instead of having the broken screen that you then had to move. You had to move the windows around. Like, it seems so much more complicated to try and use it with the broken screen.
And there was 2 keys that just didn't work, so I'd have to pull up the virtual keyboard, and I could be typing.
You could just get a new
but
laptop.
I think it was an I. Every time I wanted to type I, I'd have to hit it on the virtual keyboard and then keep typing.
That's so much more complicated.
So I'm back to having a flip phone now when I get home. I did not bring my SIM card with me because
you wouldn't really need it.
I left it. But, well, it's very important and needed because so many calls come in on it that could be important. I needed somebody to be able to answer that one. So somebody else is answering those calls right now. Yeah. But yes, I'm back to having the flip phone, the one that you have to hold at a 45-degree angle to be able to talk on it. And I've got to figure out what the heck I'm doing with stuff. And I would like to be able to enable texting on my number that I blocked back when you guys were little when I first got a phone, because you would play with it and end up texting, and it was so. And now it's a grandfathered plan and they won't change it, so I can't text on it. Anyway.
Yeah, I remember that. Like, I always would be like, don't text, just call her. The millennial, or like this generation, no one likes text. Like, everyone's afraid of phone calls nowadays.
No, I saw cats. I was like, ooh, a cat question. Did you ever have any cats? If so, what were their names? No, were they fluffy?
Penny.
The only 2 fluffy ones were that Hans and we got Prince Hans and Elsa.
That's right. That was when
from the shelter. They were really, they were really fluffy.
And we had Milo
and that Elsa one. Well, they both disappeared, but I mean, we were far. We've had so many cats, but yeah, it's funny now when people come by the farm and then they're like, oh, they see a couple of the cats we have now, like 2. Yeah, Kitty and Zinc are usually the ones that are around. Oh, how many cats? And I'm like, yeah, there's only 5. I mean, most of the time there'd be 7, 8, 12. I don't know how many cats were around.
Have we finally got them all fixed?
Yeah, everybody on the farm's fixed. But Zinc gets in fights with who knows what. Yeah. Zinc's
a grumpy old man.
He's been around forever.
Well, okay, so the first cat, that was
we were not cat people. Like, when we had our kids for the first 10 years of having kids, their dad and I were like, no.
Was it really 10 years?
Well, yeah, because your oldest brother was 10 years old when we moved to the state we live in now.
Yeah, I guess so.
And we did not have any cats. We had dogs on and off. Dad had always said he never wanted a cat because he couldn't stand like cat litter smell or one. Didn't want a cat around the house. Didn't want cat. I'd never been a cat person. Never had one growing up. We were about ready to move, and you were 5, and we had a new 1-year-old. And we were in a parking lot.
Good old Walmart.
Yeah, we never go. And we wasn't even in the town we lived in. It was more toward the bigger city, just out there in the middle of all this cars and traffic. And there was a kitten, like, in the island, in this massive parking lot. And, of course, I have 3 kids and a baby with me. Is that who I had at the time? Yeah.
Probably.
And, of course, the 3 kids, age 5 through 10 are going, so did we leave it sitting there and go inside and said maybe when we came out, or I don't know if we could.
I can't remember.
But while we were in there, we got a box or liver or something, but we picked the thing up and brought it home, and I was like, ah. But it was the most dog-like cat. And we were moving within months. I mean, within that year. Well, maybe we got it a year before we moved.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, we might have had it a little while.
I felt like we had it a bit.
Yeah, we did. So we had it for a little while. So you were probably only like 4 when we got hold of it. But called it Penny. and it was an orange and white cat, and it was hilarious. It was, it acted like a dog half the time. And then
I remember
that was
playing in the Christmas tree.
Yeah, that was a story trying to get it to our new home when we moved, because we had the darn thing trapped on closing day when we had our moving van all packed and go to closing and leave for a big old drive middle of the night in the rain and everything. But the people came to do a walkthrough and let the darn cat out of the house, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get done with closing, and it was your next brother above you that, if you were 5, he's only 2 years older than you. Yeah, so he's like 6.
Aren't we technically like 18 months apart?
Not quite. Let's see. March, April, June, about 20 months apart.
Okay.
But yeah, he was 6, and he was the most sensitive and upset. And we hunted and spent a couple hours where we should have been on the road looking for the cat, and then talking to neighbors, and then promising him, that some neighbors were going to make sure they had the cat, and we would find some way to get the cat back.
It's so funny hearing all these stories as a mom now, and just like empathizing.
So we have the minivan, all packed with kids to go. We have the biggest U-Haul that U-Haul makes, because we got 5 kids now. Yeah? No, I have 4 kids.
4.
Okay, yeah. So 4 kids, and trying to move everything, 8 hours away to another state.
Yeah.
And so we got a late start. So now I think, it's probably 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we go to drive out of the neighborhood. And so our backyard would have faced some other people's backyard. So we make the loop coming back around, and we see our cat sitting under somebody's car. But at this point, we had it all ready for the cat to have a carrier and things it needed and everything in the minivan.
Mm-hmm.
But when we couldn't find the cat, Dad had stuck everything in the U-Haul.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, U-Haul's going, and I see and step on the brakes and try to go catch Cat. Well, Cat takes off, running through that neighbor's backyard and over the privacy fences, going back over to our original house. I was like, ah! So I drove zoom back over there. I got the cat and put it in the van with you guys. So now all I had was a loose cat to make it, to another state 8 hours away, and we're only starting at 4 o'clock in the evening and having to make stops and whatever.
Animals are just trouble.
10, 11, 12. Yeah, it was like, we went through Atlanta at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and Atlanta's never fun.
Never.
And it was pouring down rain. And I wasn't used to that area. And so
yes.
Anybody that drives 75 straight through Atlanta knows that, okay, normally when you're on a main interstate road, you stay toward the left, and anything branching off is going to branch off toward your right. Well, there's one place where all of a sudden, if you stayed kind of in the middle of the interstate or to the right, you're going here and sideways and over, and you're going off to the east now on 85 instead of continuing straight on 75. And so we didn't mess that up, but I was afraid to mess it up. You've got to get all the way over to the right to make sure you stay in lanes. I don't know. Now I know how to use the HOV lane there, and I don't bother, but I don't know. We had walkie-talkies, just basic walkie-talkies you give your kid for Christmas, that kind of work. And so one in the... I didn't have a cell phone then, did I?
No, I don't think you did.
I didn't have a cell phone. That was 2003. That, so we were using walkie-talkies and trying to stay together. I had a 1-year-old, and then I had a 5-year-old, 7-year-old, and 10-year-old, and then Dad was in the U-Haul by himself.
Yeah.
And I had a cat. But you know what? The cat kind of almost met crazy tragedy before we even got to Atlanta. We were down at a Chick-fil-A, and I thought maybe the cat needed a chance to go to the bathroom. What was I thinking? I don't know. I had a harness, a leash thingy that we used for a rabbit when you had all those weird rabbits. I don't know. I tried, y'all went, it was like dusk. It was the twilight hours. It was still, daylight out, but it was quickly just getting dark. And if you got into a shady area or buildings or something, it's going to be got into some half-built hotels, you know. That's going to be like really dark in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was a cursed exit down there. And I let the cat out of the van on a leash. And the clip didn't hold. And there went the cat. And all the kids and dad are in Chick-fil-A, obliviously having their... And here I am, like, running and sprinting through the parking lot, across mud, dumping ditches. They were building a hotel. The thing ended up into... Now, there's no walls. Yeah. But there's rooms, and then there's bathroom, you know, where stuff's stubbed out for plumbing. And I think finally it kind of went into a concrete, you know, like pit divot thing for something in a bathroom. And I caught the cat. And then we didn't let that cat. Then we got to where we we're going and shut it in a room. And I like, don't anybody open this door. Nobody opened the door for this cat.
But the cat hung around for a long time. We had that cat for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And then now eventually...
Well, its name was Penny. Mm-hmm. And one time we were at the farm and little Sis was about 2. We were helping with animal rescue. And a bunch of cats and dogs were being gathered up to go be shipped down to Florida. And I came home with this whole litter. And I think it was probably you.
Probably. Because I loved pennies.
You said, oh, you brought home a whole litter of pennies. You know, they all looked like pennies. Yeah. And I was like, oh, so you guys were begging and begging for one. So we ended up keeping one of them. And everybody's like, well, what are we going to name it? Well, it was your silly dad that was like, well, you know, pennies used to be made of copper, but they're not anymore. You know, they're made of zinc, so you just call it zinc.
It's a good name.
Yeah. But Penny was a girl. And Penny was really petite, and Penny just gave off the air of a cat that never got fed. I mean, I think the neighbors, everybody fed Penny. Yeah. Penny looked like
she was always walking around.
Yeah, Penny was everywhere. Penny was like a dog. Mm-hmm. And everybody fed Penny, but Penny didn't look like it. Now Zinc is a big brute of a Garfield old man. Yeah,
I feel like he got grumpy after we got him neutered.
He's got to be at least 11 years old. Yeah. I don't know. He still ranges the farm. And
I remember one time he was hanging out in my room because occasionally he'd hang out in the house, and I remember he was sitting on my bed, and then he like kind of like twitched or looked at something, and he like darted under a furniture and like got a mouse, and then like 2 bites the mouse was gone. I was like, nice.
Did we feed the cat chicken? Well, Penny, I don't know about her, but we live on a chicken farm, and they pick up small and large later in the flock dead chickens. And they're in 5-gallon buckets outside the door until one son, whose job it is to trot out there. And because Dad picks stuff up, but he doesn't go compost them. Usually, it used to be when the other son he'd do everything. But now it's like, I left you the chickens out there. You go compost. So, I don't know. Chickens are sitting around. And Zinc, I'm sure, eats very well.
Yeah. That's why he's so big.
Yes, I'm sure Zinc gets plenty his share.
And then, what was it? We had Milo and the puppy. There was a little kitten and a little puppy that grew up together. That was really cute.
Oh, yeah, Milo. Well, who's Milo? We're saying, no, Milo's the bull. I'm going, who's Milo? Milo sounds familiar. Milo's the bull, right? No,
I was thinking of the two. There was the little gray cat.
I know,
and
but
the little...
they're saying name Milo. Who the heck is Milo?
Milo and Otis were from the...
No, I know, but on the farm. No, that bull's Jack. Oh, yeah, the other bull's Milo. Okay. Is it? Yeah,
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Jack, I'm behind on all the animal names.
I know, Jack was the original. Milo I sold, and then we brought back to the farm. And he...
What breed was he?
He was Jack's son with Even.
Okay.
And
we
he was a bottle baby,
Odd and Even.
And we never want to keep bottle baby bulls, but he was a bottle baby we had sold, and they had kept him a bull, and I seen him on Facebook yard sale, and I bought him back after a year or two, and he's the one that has bred everybody the past 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And we were moving. We didn't quite have a kill date for him. We had some others that were going. Jackson's a steer. He wasn't breeding anything, but he was Moo's last big baby boy, and he was being raised up for meat. He had a kill date, and then we went to move the girls and move Milo. Just sudden. That's the thing with these Jersey bulls. They're great until they're suddenly not great. Mm-hmm. And we had moved him pastures. We had moved him on the trailer back and forth from the farm this winter several times. Yeah. And we could handle it. We could load him. We could do whatever. We went to move pastures over there at Brother's house, and he started acting like he ate Stupidos or something.
Stupidos.
And I did not like the way he was. I was like, nope, just open gates, let him go where he wants to go. He's going with the girls. We're done. And then, and yeah, that week he was like, that was on a Saturday or Sunday, and Wednesday I took him. I called sheriffs, and I was like, he's got to go. And to load him, that was a scary loading. That was crazy. And I'm going, just a few months ago, we loaded him on the trailer, brought him over to our house, unload him. And yeah, we load them easy peasy without much. We don't get them riled up. We set up panels, got them in an area contained, and
trailering animals
and set the panels up. He was so weary. He did not want. We had made a chute, and even with that, he challenged it. And at one point on the side I was at, he got his whole head and shoulders up under the section of panels. Luckily, usually we just have like, one or two, but he would have had it was where we made the pig pen.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a little longer thing to get. Mm-hmm. And so it was this row of 3 or 4 panels. And so he got what he had that they were attached up. And I thought he was coming through at me. And I was rattling, hitting, trying to, and he couldn't quite, and then even then, we usually just kind of set it up. There's some feed. Here's the panel. You walk along, encourage and then just let them think of.
All right, you finish telling the story. I'm gonna go check on Bill Baby.
Yeah, and I was really sick that day, but no, that's Milo the bull. Okay, cats, Milo and Otis. Yes, we had a little beagly dog that was an itty bitty puppy about the time a gray and white cat that got called the Wind, sometimes Mariah. I don't know what her real name was supposed to be. It got lots of pictures of little sis holding that gray and white cat. And the cat was not a young kitten, but just a young cat. And so it was just about the same size as a little beagle mix puppy. It was kind of more of like a beagle dachshund mix. And those two were like an identical size for months, and they just played, and they were best little buddies, and they just really, they stuck together. But that would have been, so we had 2 little beagles. I don't know if that was Bella or Danny. So it was either Mariah the Wind and Bella Danny that they were. Let's see, what other questions we got here? How do I see the questions here? Is there anything to watch out for, be aware of, if the woman makes the first move? That's an interesting question. Let's see. Where to get the girl and how. We're still trying to figure that out for a couple of the sons. Yeah, that's a tough one. Vietnam didn't even work out. That sounds bad. But let's see. If a woman makes the first move, man, I'm so far removed from the dating world. Minna needs to get back down here and give some advice on that. What would I think? Let's see, I think in circles of the young adult and homeschoolers and whatever that I know, and then I have to change my mindset and think of the typical high schooled going into young adult kids that I know. Is just totally different. If the woman's making the first move, depends how kind of into the dating scene and worldly, I guess, a woman is, that I would be skeptical. I don't know about dating. Let's see. What else is anybody saying? Now I've made the chat go away while I'm looking at these questions, so I can't see the chat. Let's see. Lots of dating stuff. How long is long enough to propose when dating? How do you meet like-minded folks? Oh, all this dating stuff. Let's see. Where to go to get the girl, and then how. I found a good church since I finished college. Well, I know there's one girl that I have known for, I don't know, the past 3 years. And yeah, just a great, good girl. And but she's been wondering, where in the world is somebody for me? And she's more of an old soul. She, loves some older older TV shows and gets really into that scene. So all her friends there are like practically geriatric. But yeah, I've just seen that she has met a wonderful guy. Probably, yeah, I think through church. So even though you're going to church, which she has, I mean, it might take years. And I guess with little sis is coming into her own as a teenager. So we have those conversations that you can meet lots of, but you just gotta wait. You gotta wait until, I mean, you know when it's somebody that's really the right one for you. And yeah, we were having this conversation. She was agreeing, yeah, you know, if it's just kind of like, oh, you know, okay, this way. She's like, nah, you just don't go for that. And I said, yeah, that's the problem with getting too committed into a relationship, especially like living together, when it's just like, okay. Because then you got yourself so far deep and like, feel like I've already put so much into this. But yeah, no, be happily single until you find the right one. I don't know. I've seen that in a lot of 25 to 29-year-olds here lately that are great guys or great girls and thinking, gosh, you know, they can't find a partner because they're just not finding anything good and they're not going to settle. But I don't know. I think little by little they'll each eventually find the right one. You just have to wait. But definitely hanging out with good quality people, some people in interests you like at church eventually. But yeah, you'll end up with a whole lot of people you know and friends and be like, well, you know, that's still not getting me a husband or wife. But I don't know, I guess eventually you will. Let's see, what do we got here? Okay, there's no one at work, and it's not like I can just say, will you go out with me, to the pretty girl at the register after she compliments my German Shepherd. Yeah, my one son kind of tried that with the waitress. It didn't go out over good. She got the cliche, you know, oh, I have a boyfriend, when we knew she didn't have a boyfriend. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't been able to come up with, other than trying to set them up with people's nieces, nephews, family members that you know, but then you know what? They don't want to cooperate with that. I mean, even if the one person in your family is like, sure, I'd be interested in being that, you get with a friend and then try to suggest to a girl, hey, I want you, and they're like, no, nobody wants to take a suggestion of your relative's friend's son. You know, I don't know. How do you meet like-minded people? Well, if you're a parent and you homeschool and don't vaccinate and super crunchy, you just kind of meet lots of other parents that are all conspiracy theorists. And yeah, anyway, that's parents. How do young people meet like-minded folks? I don't know. My kids just talk, they talk to their siblings. Have siblings and you'll have like-minded friends. How long is long enough to propose when dating? I don't know. Minna and Milliardo were asking that same question, I guess, within 2 or 3 months, going, okay, let's count out the months so that it's actually like an acceptable period of time. I mean, it was a done deal then. They could have gotten married then and been fine, but well, it depends. I mean, sometimes there's reasons that it makes darn good sense to get married within 3 or 4 months after proposing. You know, I don't know. I guess if you've been dating, if you've known the person, been really good friends, quasi-dating, and you really know that person, and then you guys decide to get married, it's almost like, why have a long engagement? And then that's true too. I mean, don't have a long engagement. It's ridiculous to have an engagement that goes on 2 or 3 years. I mean, the only time I see that is people that are living together and they're like, oh, we're going to get engaged and get married, but we're going to save up money. It's kind of silly to me that you're going to just save money is the reason why I don't know. Let's see. Any advice on allowing myself to be vulnerable in a relationship? For context, most of 2020 I dated this girl and it was wonderful. We got along super well. After a while we started discussing marriage, kids, living together, etc. Eventually her mental health took a turn. Ugh, that's stinky. And she decided to break it off. She had told, or I guess warned me early on about her struggles, but it was still a huge gut punch. Definitely the worst breakup I've experienced. Now 2021, I meet someone, and her and I get along even better. However, I feel like I couldn't get attached to her and say that I truly loved her. Because of the other. After almost a year, I had to break things off. Well, I mean...
Those are old questions from a dating advice stream.
Oh, why the heck? I'm wondering, what the heck do we have? I don't know what's on here. Oh, maybe it's just because I'm scrolling funny. So here,
all
Grandma's dating advice tonight.
all questions anyone's ever asked Minna.
Okay.
They're in sequence.
Yeah, okay, so I scrolled down the questions, and I scrolled down into the depths of a previous stream. Okay, well, we had cats, embarrassing stories. What was that?
You're giving good advice. But I didn't stop you.
I was wondering, I've been abandoned down here. And actually, how do I turn the chat? I can't even see what chat's saying.
Yeah.
Let's see, because I clicked on seeing these. Maybe here it is. Ah, here's chat. Okay, I hadn't clicked on buttons to see. This technology. Well, I mean, at least I know to like hover over everything at the bottom of the screen and see what wants to pop up. Let's say, so what is chat saying? Where have I last? Did you feed the cats chicken? Yeah, I answered that. I love them. Okay. All right, what are we saying? You don't have to read the dating questions. Those are from different stream. Yes, no, I know that. Speed reading her. Yeah, that's me. Grandma dating advice. All right. Well, yeah. Oh, where was I? So, what other questions up here? Can think of Minna stories. Minna stories. Let's see. We don't want to talk about Minna dating stories. Blah, she'll kill me if I go there.
I thought you were just happy that you actually got her married off.
Oh, I don't know. She was proposing a joust for a while there. She actually got one person to speak to her father and ask her father's permission for a date. Back in her working at the grocery store days, and she got all kinds of sketchy propositions, and she would just throw out there, well, you have to call and speak to my father if you want to. And yeah, got one guy to do that. And I was like, oh, jeez. So now it ended up brothers going along, taking pizza and meeting at a park or something. But, yeah. I was wondering why there was all these dating question things there. Yeah, and I kind of stopped in the middle of this one that was getting good. Speed reading about 2020 breakup. I guess that was... And then a 2021 doing pretty good. But you know what? You got to the 2021 one and you said, oh, it was better. It was pretty good, but I had to break it. If there was a reason to break it off, then there was a reason. I mean, if it wasn't, like I said, when it's the right one. If it's not the right one, it's not the right one. And the longer you invest yourself in it, the harder it is to be like, oh, I put so much into this. I guess I'll just settle for this guy or girl. Yeah, I didn't even. So now let's see. I gotta finish reading this one though, because I started it. So let's see. Girl with her mental health, took a turn for the worse, which that's just stinky, Mental health is, but unless somebody's going to really work hard at their mental health situation, you don't want to get attached to that. And then met somebody pretty good in 2021. However, I couldn't get attached to her. Broke things off. Fast forward to 2022 and I'm dating again. This time, no luck. After praying and soul searching, I believe I found the problem. The pain of the breakup in 2020 hurt so bad. I've been walling myself off and not letting anyone close emotionally. I want to fix this. Not really sure where to start.
Milliardo had some pretty good
yeah.
advice on this one.
And yeah, I guess, and I can see, those people aren't even there, but and they talk about stuff like that. That if you had a reason to break one off, even though it. Right now, that first one, it's you didn't have the reason to break it off, but it was her mental health. But what was I gonna say? I was going somewhere with something, and then I lost it. Don't know. Yeah, no,
Reason to
that's
break
okay.
it off. I think Milliardo's advice for that one was
Yes.
like, all right, if you've recognized there's an issue in you that you're having a hard time opening back up, then it's like work with people that are close. Don't focus on like a relationship to fix it, because the relationships is only going to test things. It's not going to fix anything in a relationship. Like if you're bringing something in. So I think his advice was go to someone close to you to like help. I don't know, accountability, or help you like work on whatever mental block you have for opening up to people.
But I can see too. Now, I've seen it when I've worked with some really old people when they were, I'm talking about people that are 90, and I had a sweetheart, that died when they were in their 20s, and that was, if an initial relationship really was kind of the one for you, and that person passed away, or they walked away from you, especially as a guy, I can really see them never really wanting to move on from that, or have anybody else. That'd be just, that's it for me. That's my life. I'm going to do different things with my life, but I don't want another person. I mean, I can see that sometimes. Yeah. Or when I've talked to the old ladies, they had their one, and that was kind of it, and they still hang on to that guy that died when they were in their 20s, and they're 90 years old now.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, I didn't
So it's
know.
funny that you ended up going down.
I was like, oh, here's this, and I'm scrolling, and I'm like, well, now that was weird.
Oh, it's still a kid. Here, hang on, let me go grab him.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
Talk about you seeing me scream for the first time.
Yeah, so 1 year ago, I was visiting for Thanksgiving on the other side of the earth with them from where we are now, and they're talking, and then it's all technical looking to me. They're on the computer, setting stuff up all week long, getting things ready, getting things to work right, getting right power, right equipment, and talking about this thing they're going to do, and chatting about it, and then sitting there in the background all quizzically listening to the birth of Minna and her bread baking and her funny stuff, and that was really funny. But it's been really neat, because even when they were on the same side of the ocean as us, they were still a good 9 hours away, and it's kind of neat, because at home, Dad or me or the brothers, when we feel like it, we'd like, oh, hop on a stream and just listen, and like, oh, cool, we can. It's like having her back around and listening to her talk. So it's just kind of fun. And the guys I think some of the siblings always try to catch live, and then their dad get Minna's stream going while washing dishes or something, and cringe and laugh at silly daughter. Let's see, what do we got here? She would have had a baby. I have to look at these comments. Literally let's see. Oh yeah, I'd seen that one about the knives that I need a 8-inch switchblade. Well, I don't know, back in my preteen days, when schools weren't so crazy, I had found around the house a sheath knife. I don't know the blade, let me guess. The blade was probably a good 6 inches, maybe 8. I don't know. There was a sheath knife that I thought was really cool in a leather sheath, and I would just kind of strap that on or carry it with me or whatever. So I don't know. I guess the knifing stuff started young, because I remember loving that one sheath blade. Never did anything with it, but I carried it around. Probably carried it to school. Let's see. What else is in the comments? I need to come up with some more Minna stories. We have lots of animals around the farm. Talking about the bull Milo. The first bull we had was Benji. No. Yeah, Benji, and then his son, Bendy Mudini. Right? Or Benji Mudini. I don't know. Yeah, the first one was quite an escape artist. And so we had it in the pasture where Minna would go in to take care of her rabbits and stuff. And she hated, both of our girls hate the bulls. So she kind of started hating the bulls, because that one we had made too much of a pet out of, and she would go to get in the pasture and it would be like right there at her. So she would like kind of look and run down the fence to somewhere where it wasn't and like slip through the barbed wire and try to get to the barn. And then so one of the bulls we were going to process, she named it Sparta because when she ate it, wanted to be able to say whatever, Sparta, something like that she would say. But I actually sold that bull to a friend for them to eat it, and she was so mad at me. So that friend's, let's see, speed reading our whole dating advice stream. Yeah, grand's dating advice. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, the young sis says she hates the bulls with a passion, but bulls are different around women. I mean, bulls are bulls, and as they get to be more their dangerous self, they'll do some posturing about standing sideways, and they'll do things of throwing their head or kind of butting at the dirt or pawing the ground, and they'll start doing that around women way before they do it around the guys. And yeah, they get funny around us. They don't like us. Are there any other questions? Let me think of something good Minna's done. What's a Minna thing? I don't know. Everybody at home's probably listening to me at some point. Let's see. Minna with animals. Minna, she's, it's helpful when she's right next to me. She reminds me of some of these stories. She's taking care of doe kids. Let's see. That one doe kid. No wonder he woke up. He fell asleep in the car like probably 4 o'clock this afternoon. We got lazy and didn't wake him up for dinner. We'll pay the price tonight. Let's see. What's her? Yeah, she was very independent. And we talked about her, being pretty free-spirited and not caring about the constraints of proper society. But this one time, she actually was fully clothed and decent, so at least that's a plus. But one time, she was out back with Dad and brothers and playing in the sand, and I'm washing dishes. And one brother, oldest brother, is just playing on the computer. It's all quiet and peaceful, and as I'm washing dishes, I can see out the front window to some neighbors' backyard behind the neighbors across the street from us. And I was like, oh, I have a DVD. I need to return to them. And I look around, everything's quiet and peaceful. And I take the DVD and walk out the front door. Well, I gotta lower my voice. So I look around, everything's quiet and peaceful. We don't have a front door actually closed. We have a screen door with a really high up latch to try to keep that Minna from getting out. So I walk out the door. And probably while I was walking across the street and into the neighbor's backyard, the sliding glass door from the back where their plane was open, little Minna probably came in the house, and she had a straight view from that sliding glass door through the screen door, and she must have seen me, because in quizzing Big Brother later, he says that she was just saying, "Mama, Mama," and she was probably younger than 2, maybe 2, but a little distracted brother hopped off his computer, ran over and smacked the high latch on the screen door to let her out to Mom. Except Mom was probably all the way across the street and halfway through a neighbor's backyard with her back turned. And I walked across the street, sat down on a picnic table, turned back around facing my house, and chatting with my neighbor. And I didn't see anything, so I don't know what silly Minna did. She did not follow straight across the street, because by the time I sat down, turned around, looked at my house, I never saw anything. For, I don't know, about 30 minutes or something, visiting with my neighbor, till I see some people walking up to the front door of my house, carrying something or someone. And I was like, what's that? And I'm looking, I was like, well, let me go see. And so by the time I trot through that neighbor's backyard and then my across the street neighbor's front yard, and coming across the street, I realize they're at my front door. Just as my husband is opening the front door, and we both, about the same time, the same distance away, realize they're holding our little kid, and both of us very confused. And evidently he had just come in from the backyard when they knocked on the door, and I'm coming from our street, but it was just like, what the heck? She just left. She left, and she didn't follow me. She went down the street, around the corner, heading to the main road, until somebody just picked little tiny tot Minna up and started walking through the neighborhood, knocking on doors one after another, be like, hey, is this your kid? Hey, is this your kid? Yeah, so that's her. What else has she done? I mean, there's been many a time that she has escaped out when she could open the door from the kitchen into the garage. And if the garage was open, then yeah, she could disappear. We'd usually catch that pretty fast, but sometimes not dressed appropriately, having to snatch that kid out of the road.
Yeah, I've got homeschooling and general child rearing tips.
Homeschooling and child rearing tips. How to keep clothes on your kid and get them to eat. Is that the current?
More of the attitude, because I like your attitude, particularly the way you describe, like, parent the kid that's in front of you. Like,
Yeah. So you got a kid that's having trouble with whatever, whether it's their temper and anger, or whether it's them falling apart over something, or their eating habits, I mean, anything, and you're tempted to really be like, well, what about when they start school and, and they have to eat in the cafeteria, or they have to, eat what's served to them, or what about when they start school and they're going to have to listen to the teacher and then without falling apart and being upset, or even if it's a kid that's older and you're going, well, what about, well, they have to be able to, even a special needs kid, they have to be able to, maybe go to one of these job mentoring programs and be able, to work at Applebee's and do something where but you know what? Maybe that kid's nowhere near that right now. That's not what you need to be worried about. What you need to be worried about is, at the moment, they can't even do X, Y, Z. So why are you even thinking about what they need to be doing in kindergarten, or what they need to be doing at their little, job co-op? You got to parent the kid in front of you. Well, yeah, I know what you're. Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, you gotta just give them what they need right now.
What do they need in this moment?
Yeah, what do they need right now? Not what they need in kindergarten, or what they need at their, job placement later. Mm-hmm. You'll get there, but what they need right now. Don't make your decisions on how you're disciplining them right now based on your fear of how they're going to act in a couple years. Just do what they need right now.
Don't compare it to, like, the siblings. Don't even compare. Yeah. Was it like the kid from, like, one day to another? Yeah. Just like the need in the moment.
Just saying, parent the kid in front of you, not the kid you read about in the book. So yeah, there's.
I don't know. I think, like, just I mean, you and Dad, your attitude of, like, we're our own little people. Like, we're gonna treat you as little people. We're not gonna bully or step over you or.
Yeah, you treat them as their own little individual, and you treat them with compassion. You feel for how they're feeling or acting. That take their feelings into account. Sometimes it's like, well, I mean, you're feeling that way, but it's not going to change anything. But I can have some compassion for you.
Sometimes them, like, the validating the feelings of just, or even, I feel like for little kids too, like, verbalizing what they're feeling so they can start understanding, then verbalize what they're feeling later too.
Yeah. Unless you have a parrot of a son.
He's fun.
Doe Kid is very linguistically able, has always been. And even when he was 2, I'd say, hey, you didn't know you had a parrot for a son, pet parrot, did you? And
it's funny because, like,
all the words that you give him come right back out at you at all kind of interesting times.
Like, one time there's some time recently where, because I'm sure there's been times where he's done something and I've told him, like, that was your fault that happened. And then there's one time something happened and I explained to him, like, that in particular, that wasn't your fault. And so then driving around him, he's been upset about getting in the car seat.
And if I say, I'm sorry you're so upset, he goes, no, don't be sorry, it's not your Bull!
But he like yells it.
and then he kind of, because we laughed at it, he really started using it.
Yeah.
And so then, just in a rage of being aggravated, he just started yelling, stop it! It's not your fault.
Or
It's
when I'm
not
like,
Mama's
it's
fault.
okay.
It's not
And he's like-
anybody's fault.
I'm like, it's okay if he's upset. And he goes, no, it's not okay.
But I think that's not your fault. I said you're using that as an accusation.
I don't know. I'm like, there's been times, I know that I was having like a rough week about like probably a couple weeks ago. And I think like the time zone too, I was just like, play by play. Now they're doing this. Now they're upset about this. Like just texting you because I can't call you in the middle of the day anymore. So I'm just texting you. You're staying up late that week.
Yeah.
You're staying up super late. But I was just like
Well,
play by play.
Today he was laughing and just going, oh crap, about everything. And I was like, oh crap. I said, who's taught you that? Who says that? Mama, me? And I think he,
There
or
was one
little
time I
sis
dropped
around.
like a jar one time and said, oh crap. But that was like forever ago.
No, I think
I'm sure
I don't
I've
know if
said
me or
it
little sis said it lately, and he was picking up on
Yeah.
it today and making a big
here and there.
to do about just saying, oh crap.
But,
Oh, crap.
no, the headbutt. Little sis. The one time, Dad just offhandedly being like, oh, that person was a butthead. And then little, probably like 3-year-old.
She was like, headbutt. And so then and then we didn't correct her. And so then she would just use it on people. You're a headbutt. I don't know, that went on for months, calling people headbutt.
It was funny.
No, Bit by Bit was really funny.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was oldest. He was about 3, and Dad was doing something on an awning of a barn at a property we had, and things went south and started to collapse or do something, and yeah, the SOB came out of his mouth really, because we were standing way back, and little 3-year-old kind of was like, looking at me, looking at Dad, thinking about it, and he didn't really, and then he kind of took a couple steps away, and then he goes, bit by bit!
Bit by bit.
Instead of SOB, bit by bit. And oh yeah, that lasted a long time. If something fell or something, messed up, you would go, oh, bit by bit.
Oh gosh, and Ty, it's when things become a thing in their head, because they're, Joe kid getting frustrated and kicking at a door or the tatami room doors, and if I've made a big reaction about it, then
Now,
it becomes
Doe
a
Baby has
thing.
decided to go and bite the door frame
yeah, he
because
was
it
biting.
became a thing tonight. And so then he got frustrated, and we talked
I
about
didn't
him
even- I
biting.
didn't even,
He
like, react
left
to
where we were at,
him.
walked over to that same door
I
frame, and
I
bit
was
it.
commenting on that to you, and he heard it, I guess, and
He's
went over.
so tiny.
He was trying to bite the door frame.
Tiny little man understands so much. Oh yeah,
They
I
do
know,
though.
he
They do.
understands.
But
He's,
the nephew.
but, I mean, not only
the
is
other
he
nephew.
young, but he's got this teeny tiny face, kind of like when you.
He's
I don't
so
know.
cute.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
in
like
so much trouble.
the other friend over there that has a kid born the same day. I
Mhm.
saw a picture yesterday of him. He looks like a whole grown boy, and then this one.
He's so cute. He's got
this
that baby face.
It's kind of like at the zoo when you see like the itty bitty. What are the tiny monkeys that are like
Spider
the-
monkeys.
Oh, some little like marmoset ones or something. And you look at them and they got this whole complex little face, but they're just small and
Yeah.
itty bitty. And he's.
But no, Doe Baby, he was trying to bite a door frame today. But no, Doe Kid, if I make a big deal of, if I overreact a bit and make a big deal, then in their little toddler brains, they gotta test it. They'll be like, oh, if I do that again, will I get the same reaction? Like they just have to test it. And so then he'll be not even like in the like, he'll be upset, not falling apart yet, but then he'll go purposefully lay down and kick out a door. And then it takes a while to like break that habit. But
Somebody asked advice on how to teach an older dog to fetch. Now, Minna's youngest brother has 2 dogs that he works with. They're Aussies. And one, the female, is your typical jacked up neurotic crackpot Aussie, like da-da-da-da-da, go, 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 go. I mean, she's really, and oh my gosh, fetch with her. She's neurotic about it. To the point that people come to our farm gate and she grabs sticks, runs, and, throws them in a way that'll go under the gate so that they will, and people that come to collect milk have to stand there and throw a stick for this girl over and over. Oh my gosh, yes. And so his other dog is a year younger. I mean, I don't know. The other dog he got in 2020. And he's a very well-bred Aussie, and he's smart, and he's very stable-minded, and he could care less about the fetch game, but he was teaching him a lot of commands and tricks off of a list for me at one point, and so he actually was working at training this dog to fetch as a command and do stuff because he didn't want to. Now he loves, if the other dog is running, he loves to play the game of intercept and tackle and, you know, trip up the female. And so they play together with this fetch stuff out there. You know, we'll throw and throw and throw, and they both run. But to get the boy dog to just play fetch with you was like, really? Why? And
reminds me of the horsenalities of different horses and the way you have to like strategize how you teach them. So yeah, he would have to, you know, entice and reward, and the dog would go, because it was in steps, because I think first you get the dog to go to it and just kind of look at it and look back at him, go pick it up, but then he would kind of walk part way with it and then drop it and then want to come for a treat. So yeah, I had to do a little bit of back and forth training, conditioning. What do I do if my 5-year-old is starting to act up in school, not wanting to lay down during nap time? Who lays down 5-year-olds for naps?
Oh gosh, yes, school. Okay, I have gone 30 years of not having to deal with kids in school. Now, youngest son, when he was 5, that one that shell-shocked the family, and we had moved to the farm, and we were within a stone's throw of the public school, and I don't know how many times I thought, you know what, I just want to enroll him in school, get him out of everybody's hair a little bit. But the thought of trying to make his hair presentable, him presentable, send him to school, and teachers dealing with him, I was like, oh, forget it. I never did. But now, this year, other kids that are like grandkids to me that live on the other side of us at our other property is a 5-year-old boy and a 4-year-old boy and a 2.5-year-old boy. And they are all boy. And the 5-year-old and 4-year-old started school this year. The 5-year-old is a pistol sometimes. He's very smart, you know, bright little guy, wants to be your helper, but he's very active and a very, you know, I need to do things hands-on and I don't want to be micromanaged or touched. And he also had a hearing deficit. And yeah, I've gone 30 years of not having to deal with school crap. And I have ranted so far this school year. I mean, within the first 2 weeks, because I help with these kiddos getting there, their mom's a single mom. And, you know, the idiocy of the school drop-offs. And I'm like, why are we here at 7 o'clock in the morning with these kids?
Make sure you don't speak too loud.
Oh, yeah.
Kids sleeping.
Why are we here at 7 a.m. with these kids? Dropping them off with these administrators every morning like it's Groundhog Day with these cheesy fake smiles waving at you, and taking these kids to school to do what all day, and then we're going to be back at what time, and then do it over again. And so much hurting of them, and getting these little 5-year-olds, you know, all to sit against the wall and then to walk together and then to do, oh yeah, this little guy. You know, I don't know.
Like
even
there's
just
very few kinds of kids that actually thrive in that kind of environment.
You know, and then so he's already just been in trouble every single day the first few weeks of school, and you know, what do you? And I'm like, and then his teacher keeps saying, you know, 20 years experience in the classroom, and I'm like, okay, so I'm sure you've dealt with kids like this before. What are your? Because he gets upset, you know, and angry and needs to calm down. And in that environment, it's hard for him. And, or the teacher, somebody comes up and suddenly wants to take his backpack off of him. You know, he turns around swinging like, dude, what are you doing? You know, give me my backpack back. You know, it's, and he's, you know, he's not being aggressive to the other kids, but he's not a naturally trusting kid of adults. He's, you know, weary. He's always like, nope, back off. Don't touch me. You know, I don't know you. And, oh, yeah, let's see, with the laying down. I mean, there's just, all of them have their thing. Then the little brother
it's
that's
just also
4,
much logistics. It's so much logistics in school.
like,
I mean, it's so hard. to like make that
and then,
work.
you know, trying to, you know, were you a good boy today or were you bad today? And I'm just going, this stuff is for the birds. And then I get there, okay, so they messed up, and the 4-year-old actually could have been at pre-K at the public schools. His birthday was like the last days of August, and the cutoff is like the last days of August. He could have gone, but they didn't do it right. And so he's at another Head Start program, you know, 15 minutes the other way, trying to get everybody to where they need to be practically at the same time. And, you know, then if you're like right there at the door trying to get the kid out of the car, but oops, they shut the door, the bell rang. And then now it's like, well, you have to leave the car there. And I got the 4-year-old sitting in the car, and sometimes a 2-year-old. And now, because he's pre-K, I would have to walk him up to the other doors, sign him in, but then not even that. Then I have to walk him all the way back to where his class is currently at, which is the cafeteria having breakfast, which is all across this school. And just doing that now is going to make the 4-year-old late. And it's 7:30 in the morning, and I walk through these halls that just seem so drab and institutional. I'm looking in the doorways, and all these 8, 9, 10-year-olds are sitting silently with tablets in front of them, bare tables and bare rooms. And I'm going, this is warped. Just, this is not real life. And we're going to do this day after day.
It always seemed like this pseudo reality whenever there's the one time I went for like lunch with to my friend who was in school, and she invited me for lunch. And so I went to the cafeteria. I think you went with me, and it was so noisy.
Yeah. Okay, so tantrum. So that kiddo, the 5-year-old, yeah, he'll throw some doozies of tantrums, and like he's defending himself type tantrums. Now little brother that's 4 is all the, oh, poor woe is me, pitiful little me, so little and sweet. But but he was getting in trouble for throwing tantrums, because every time they'd be outside, it's time to come in, he'd do ha 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 ha, run away, you can't get me, you know, gonna count to 3 and you have to come in here, you know, until they have to go get him. And then he lays down and takes a nap, but then they're complaining that they can't wake the dumb kid up when I come to pick him up. Literally, he will not walk. He cries and makes a puddle on the floor. He's all limp. You know, one of the teachers is trying to drag him. So, I mean, I'm here now, but yeah, it got to where I was like, because at that place, we're supposed to pick them up at 2:20. And at the other public school where the 5-year-old's at, it's 15 minutes away, they start pick up at 2:30. But it seems like if you're, I don't know, everybody's lined up, of course, way before then. The line's moving, and you show up at 2:38, and then the line's gone, and then they're like, oh, you're late, you know, you can't be late. And I'm like, well, I was down the road picking this one up, and he's a floppy puddle of a mess and won't wake up. And so at that place, then I realized, oh, wait a minute, they're trying to get the kids out like at 2:15, but if I show up at 2, they haven't got the kids out, but they'll open the door up right at 2. You're allowed to like come in if you buzz in. So I found if I go up there, park, buzz in at 2 o'clock, march all the way down to the end of the hallway into his classroom, just pick him up off his darn mat and be like, backpack. And then the other little kids see me coming, and they like run, I'll get his backpack for you, you know. And I'll just pick that kid up, pick up the backpack, and toss him in, and then make it up to the other one, because the other administrator's like, oh, well, because that kid's at a public school, he's supposed to be able to stay for $5 a day at aftercare. But no, he's got too much of a temper. He runs away from people. He throws things. So yeah, you know, all 5-year-olds that aren't just quiet, complacent kids. Anyway, all 5-year-olds in our life, in our family, and these ones aren't even blood family, you know, are not going to, you know,
I can't imagine, like,
well
I don't, like, Doe Kid was, like, he was at least, like, between a little over 2 to, like, 2.5, he was in that, like, hard window of, like, sometimes napping, sometimes not. I've never heard of a 5-year-old taking a nap. Like, people will do quiet time with their kids during, like, nap time hours. So with this
5-year-old that doesn't want to lay down throwing tantrums, I'd be like, hey, teachers, what has your strategy been? Have you, you know, seen what it is that's triggering the tantrum? You look for the trigger. You know, is it the actual needing to lay down? Is it because you're trying to force him? And if you give him an alternate thing to do by the side, but you know, even then, they're 5 and they're just trying to be mushed into complying in the group thing.
And you know who created the school system, chat? You want to know? The commies.
Where did our chat go?
They're trying to make a perfect little cog machine. Oh, your chat's over there.
Come back
Right
here.
there,
There
yeah.
it is. What's anybody saying?
Let's see. Oh no, are they going to drug him now? Ooh.
Yeah, no.
We get started on that topic.
So now, I mean, schools are definitely far from ideal. You know, I sat in with the, because the poor mom of these boys, she didn't know what to say going into a parent-teacher meeting, so I went in there and sat down, and the thing is, yeah, you know, if you approach him wrong, he really starts into the fight or flight, like, you know, you're not gonna get me, miss, and you know, if he's done something wrong, they try to make him sit out. Next thing they know, he's, you know, throwing things at them, and but I was like, you know, have you, you know, tried to make him a helper, give him jobs? I mean, you give him something to do. He's a doing kid or something responsible for, you know, but I said, you really got to have a relationship with him, and they've done better. I mean, they acted like the first 2 weeks of school, like, we have no idea how to handle this kid, and we have 20 years of experience. And I'm going,
that says a lot more about you than about the kid.
I got lots of years of experience
and you
with individual kids. I said, what I don't have is crowd control experience with a whole bunch of kids and trying to make them conform.
That's like, that's just how the school's set up, and so it's hard for anyone to
and
navigate.
I was like, this
in that.
kid's been in daycare for the past couple years. I mean, when he first went to daycare, yeah, you know, they would confront him about something. He'd fight tooth and nail and try to bite somebody and, you know, scratch at the adults and jump on their back. I said, but, I mean, the past year we haven't heard anything about that. I don't know. As the daycare teachers, you know, they'd put him in timeout and he'd, you know, like, okay, huff and puff and go over there. But, yeah, no, they had no control over that kiddo the first bit of school. And, oh, he's hilarious lately. His at outside recess, and this is just nowhere near any woods or anything. It's just flat concrete and a little bit of grass between stuff or whatever. He starts. He's wearing jeans. They've got ripped knees, and he is screaming that there's a snake in his pants. I don't know what these poor teachers would think, you know, but and they're ripping his shoes and his clothes. So we get a picture of him squatting barefoot with his jeans on, grinning on the sidewalk with a frog. There was a legit, large, as big as your hand, frog in his pants. I don't know how he had a frog in his pants.
Boys.
But,
okay, so this question's funny. Who listens more / who has less trouble to take care of, the sons or daughters?
gosh.
It depends.
That's a trick question.
It depends so much.
Yeah. How do you like your model?
I think you're the little like picture I got of you.
The person, the graham.
Oh yeah, graham cracker.
Yeah.
Mom's graham cracker with the knives.
So as a graham cracker gets old, does it just get soggy or does it get more crunchy?
More crunchy for sure.
Stale and crunchy.
More and crunchy.
Yeah.
Sons and daughters, I don't know. Kids are all. It's a gotcha game.
Yeah.
It's a grab bag. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's what particular things have you noticed overall of like girls and boys, like when raising girls and boys? Any like particular things you kind of noticed overall?
Most people kind of say in general, the boys are kind of rough, younger because they're just all full of energy, go into everything, whatever. And,
I was kind of like that.
Yeah, but mostly people say the boys run you ragged little, and then the boys as they get older are less complicated and easier, and the girls can get way more especially I guess if you have a house of girls. I never had the whole sister dynamics going on because the only two girls are 12 years apart.
Yeah, spaced.
But with any of their friends, like with Minna when she was growing up and she had friends, and there would be a group of girls around that are anywhere between the ages of 8 and
you're
15.
dynamic. If you had like a house full of girls, you're dynamic. It would have been such a funny mix.
They were. I mean, you'd have 4 girls over, and I would
You
go,
were just
"Oh
so
my
no
god,
BS.
I'm so glad I have 4 boys and not 4 girls." Yeah.
What was it? I have a friend. She has.
And
at
then
this point, she
little
has
sis-
3 boys, and then she had 2 little girls. And I remember asking her when she was pregnant, like with the 4th one, and if she was like, you know, what she'd think if she had like a girl or boy, and she's like, boys are pretty simple. It's like, what are we gonna do? Play with sticks, cool. Where it's like if she hangs out with her nieces, and it's like a lot more like involved imaginary play or storylines or something. She's like, boys are pretty simple.
Yeah, no.
They're just
Little sis has a group of friends that are sisters. At one's, you know, a year older than her, and one's 6 months younger than her. So all these sisters are close in age. So that was a 1.5 year gap, and then the other one is 2 years younger. So these are 3 sisters that are all like a year and a half apart. They have a little brother and now another tiny tot sister, but them being, you know, 3 sisters close together, and she's right in the mix with them. So it's the 4 of them, and they've been friends like this for 10 years now.
Gosh, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy how fast 10 years has gone by.
So, you know, from when she was 3-ish to now she's 13. So, and so they're really close. They do, you know, it's her one set of friends. It's kind of an easy, ready-made friend group, since it's just, you know, if we get together with them.
That was the nice things
them.
about big families. We had, like, growing up when I was about her age, we had, like, 2 families in particular, and whenever we got together,
there's
it'd be
20.
Like, yeah.
That's why we 20 kids.
That's why we upgraded to the 15-passenger van, because, like, there was, what, at that point, 8 family members, like, including you and Dad?
Yeah.
And then if we wanted friends, party van.
So, but yeah, she's got that friend group that is 3 sisters, and seeing up close and personal from the age of 3 up now into them being teenagers, what it's like to have, you know, 3 sisters all, you know, 18 months apart. And she just shakes her head at it like, oh my God, it is such a different dynamic in home life, and clashes and talk, and she's like, no, I don't want a bunch of sisters like that.
No, she can just have her older sis that hands down the clothes and stuff. Trying to think anything else. I remember, like, you know, being on the different mom Facebook pages and seeing people, you know, ask for advice and things, and I remember seeing someone that was like her teenage boys and feeling so heartbroken because she felt like her teenage boys just like totally blew her off and were always disrespectful and things. But so much of that, I mean, so much of it is building the relationship with the kid when they're younger.
Yeah,
like hitting the teen years
the boys.
is
the boys really love their mom, and they feel for their mom. The boys don't want to clash. I mean, I don't know, the boys aren't ugly.
Are you saying I don't feel for you?
Oh. I think as a teen there's more a little fighty clashiness with a girl to their mom.
I guess so, yeah. That's,
you know,
common.
Not big fighty clashiness, but like, I think the boys, you know, get more like, oh no, you know, they would feel really bad that, you know, that they did something mom would disapprove of, more so than the girls do as they're like coming into their own.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. Like the girls are trying to find their own place as who they are as, you know, a little woman and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much, I feel like, I mean,
so
teen years are hard, but I feel like starting the
boys,
relationship.
None of the boys would ever.
Well,
like,
you know,
ugly and
well, you're also. We've gotten glimpses of. You're scary sometimes.
Yeah. Well, when the boys are still young enough that you could grab hold of their shirt and lift them up, you know, you got to put the fear of God in them.
You've brought out a flip-flop. You've brought out the chocolate before in true Hispanic fashion. I remember the boys were taller than you because you're pretty short. And I remember one time the boys were taller than you, and they were kind of like laughing about something, but you had a flip-flop at them. That's also the thing, is the time that I like really pushed the limits and really got in a spot, and you finally like laid down your thoughts on me, it was scary. You're scary.
I don't know. Yeah, there's all the parenting books and everything, and telling you how you need to handle, and to me it's a bit stilted. Like, okay, I'm gonna think about the book and how to word, you know, what I've read in the book, and this is how I'm supposed to word it. I don't know. Push comes to shove in real situations, I'm real with them. I mean, I'm not going to, you know, because you're not supposed to shame the kids or hide, but I'm not gonna hide that what you did really hurt my feelings, or that I am genuinely upset over something.
And you do that in like an appropriate, like the right kind of language for young kids.
I'm not going to put my feelings down and be neutral and just state what needed to be stated. No, they're gonna know that, you know, how I really felt about it. I don't know. But, I'm going to be real in situations. But yes, not abusive, because I'm not. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why, I don't know, these books, you can't just say go by. And like you've said too, you can't just be like, oh, go by what seems natural or instinct, because so many people have very warped upbringings. They can't go by they can't go by instinct.
A lot of times they have to unlearn their initial whatever ingrained response because it follows patterns that they're trying to break. So I enjoy listening to different books just because it's like kind of different things to think about or perspectives. You know, you've got a lot of savvy under your belt. So for me, I kind of like listening to other things just to think about it. But I can trust my instincts and my approach.
Well,
because
I feel like once they're 8, I'm going to be genuine.
Yeah.
You know, what I say to them and what I feel. I'm going to be real and I'm going to be genuine about, you know, laying out that, I mean, and we're talking when we continue the conversation. And talking too much, I'm sure you guys think, because then I'll keep talking. Probably. Yeah. Yeah, probably like too much talking, but anyway.
Talk.
Talk. Yeah.
You see where I get it from. Let's see, what else was I thinking? I had this thought earlier. We were talking about embarrassing stories. What are some of the moments you've been most proud of me?
Ooh. Let's see. That was really fun when you did was it your 16th birthday and took the horse?
Oh yeah, the 100 pace.
100 pace.
Yeah, that was 17th
really,
birthday.
Oh, that was 17th.
I still have the hoodie from that.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just like really cool. Like, hey, you're going off and doing that thing. I
finally got to gallop through a field.
You know, lots of dance stuff. Yeah, especially in high school, what you did in dance was
my prime.
Really cool. And
it was such a good time.
And it was funny. Some of the plays you guys were in at the art center, and it was funny because at that point I was in the throes of having like pretty much all you guys around me all the time, and then several of you went and did the play things.
Yeah.
And so you had a whole lot of commitment and everything, and I just had one little one in tow on my hip probably at that point. I don't know if the other one had come along, the other boys. Well, I guess I had both little boys. Yeah, I had two little boys.
Yeah.
So just, and then it was like, oh, I realized those little moments of, oh, I'm so glad to see you guys. Or, oh, I said, you actually have to send the kids away some to be able to say, I'm glad to see you. You know, it's like oh, hey guys, I'm so happy to see you. How you doing? It's like, yeah, I need to like push you away, go away for a little while so you can actually be happy to see them back. I see you all the time. I'm not going to be like, oh, good morning, guys. I'm glad to see you. You know? But yeah, you guys did some of the play things.
Those were fun.
I'm trying to think. Oh, so bad.
You've seen me give birth twice.
You've done awesome at that. I mean, you've been blessed too, because not everybody has. It's not always, you know,
you've given
in our power or choice how the births go.
I've inherited your fast labors, which is pretty good.
Yes, you've done awesome.
Thanks.
At your births.
I feel like for some reason I never hear it like in any other space, but I feel like both times I've been told I'm a rock star. And for some reason being like you were a rock star, I've only heard that around like when I've given birth, but it works. I don't know, it's kind of funny.
Okay, let me think. I mean, the book stuff was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, especially, I guess the first one being
published for the first time.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was.
And I was published when I was, still 18, which was like that dream that I've been working on. It was funny when you finally read my writing seriously for the first time.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa.
We never sat down and did like, this is how you write a sentence or anything. Like, the style was like, you get your reading, writing, and arithmetic, and then go do something productive.
Well, what I realized with all you kids is that the nieces and nephews that lived up north that we would see, once or twice a year, and they were close in age with you older 3.
Yeah.
And when they were learning to read and write, and I realized, oh, every kid at school, when they're learning to write, is learning to write very simple, I went to the beach. I did this. My dad did that. Yes. Yeah. I mean, we really skipped that stage. And by the time you guys went to write, you wrote things out in the way you think and the way you read stuff and the way you hear. So you were writing interesting, complex sentences and phrasing things in neat ways and presenting things it's like you didn't have to unlearn, because then the kids get a little bit older. You know, they learn in, you know, first, second, third grade simple writing, and even by fifth grade, a lot of them writing, and in school too, it's like, oh, what's the least I can get away with?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got an assignment, you know, what's the minimum number of words? How can I make this? They're not trying to write well.
Yeah.
They're just trying to meet the requirements with the least amount of effort. So you never had the experience of trying to
grind the machine.
Yeah. So all of you guys blew me away. Like, even the boys, you know, when eventually it's like, oh, we're at a homeschool co-op. They're having some kind of little writing contest. Okay, guys. Well, the oldest son was being secretive. Wouldn't even let me look at what he was doing. You know, he was like, I got this, Mom. I got this. Yeah, he was probably 10, 11. And then the younger son wanting to dictate stuff to me a little bit. He was writing it out.
I think I dictated. Was that the bicycle one? Yeah.
Yes, you were only like 5 years old. And so it was a homeschool writing contest, and you dictated. And so even in dictating, I'm writing it down, and it's wonderful, and it's complex, and I've still got those.
Yeah.
But yours was wonderful. Oldest boys was very unique, which anything he does is just... What
was it? One of his first college papers, you had to write something about, you know, these kind of like feeling like wishy-washy, like, oh, what are your feelings? Like, to write something you feel passionately about. And he decided he was going to write a paper on why he believed the color blue should be changed to this other word he came up with.
Anyway, yeah. And he can write, well, he's smart kid. So anyway, he wrote the story thing. He was 10 years old, and he wrote an entire story in only dialogue, without even name, you know, not with he said.
No name
the
tags.
whole thing was just kind of, and it was different, and it was unique, and yeah, he won. But he wouldn't let me see it beforehand. He almost wouldn't let me see it afterwards, but of course. But he's always been like that.
Yeah.
And the other kiddo wrote a cool Bionicle story.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Bicycle story.
Homeschoolers are funny. I don't know. That's why with studying and learning things, you don't have the experience of cramming info to forget.
That's the thing I always say is we learned how to learn.
Yeah, so it's like if you were reading up on something or learning something, it's like, well, that you know it. I mean, you could tell people about it or whatever. You didn't have the life experience.
There was like a post or something
just forgetting info
where it was like, you know, people say homeschoolers are, you know, antisocial, but, you know, then my, you know, 9-year-old can talk to the mailman for half an hour about, you know, whatever his given subject he's obsessed with is. Oh wait, there's one over here. What's Mama Vanilla's favorite anime? Have you watched any anime?
I mean,
probably not.
I used to, with, you know, whatever, when kids were younger or whatever was put on, like the My Neighbor Totoro.
Oh, like Studio Ghibli?
I don't know, yeah.
You haven't really watched any anime.
And
you
even
really
little sis, she's not.
She's
anime.
not into anime. She's into the sort of K-pop bands.
Yeah, but not all the
not
typical
anime.
K-pop ones. She's certain Korean. Well, she's
certain. Yeah, she's been showing me listening to all her favorite ones. So like she's, you know, there's like 1 or 2 BTS songs she likes, but mostly it's other bands she's interested in. What surprised me about the ones she's interested in is how much it it's a lot more like rap style and pulls. There's a lot of things like the blah, or funny little things, and I'm like, oh, that seems, you know, pulled from Western rap in certain genres, but no, that's more of her scene. And I didn't get into anime until I was older, like teens, and
I guess
I
something
really only
else
got
I've
a
always
handful.
been super proud of and impressed with Minna is natural horsemanship.
Oh yeah.
That I would just always want you to show off to whatever, you know, if the farrier came by or this, you know, get out your chica and show how well you have this thing voice trained like a dog, you know, and then yeah, we'd
bring like the friend with the boys, and she would come over, and we did a lot of horse stuff together. There was a handful of like other girls or friends my age, or that, like, you know, people you knew, their daughters, that I would like try and teach horse stuff to.
Yeah,
and that was always fun. It's always nice going out and seeing the ponies a bit.
Yeah, we had a bunch of horses.
How many do we have at the peak? Was it 16?
Something like that.
It was a lot.
Gosh. And then at one point I thought, okay, about the time
I kept having to stop you from buying more horses.
you were about, were you 15 when you got Chica?
I was
No, it was
15 going on
2000.
16.
Yeah.
I was going on 16.
And
like
that
my
was the
16th.
same year that we
Hey,
had
you
one
didn't you get a
born.
Mustang when you were 16? Your car?
Yeah.
And then I got a Mustang.
Well, no, I bought my Mustang when I was 14 and a half or 15 because I always had money because I was very independent and always working. And then my brother, who was a year older than me, got his driver's license first. And while I was out making money babysitting, my parents let my brother take my car that I wasn't even able to legally drive. It was a 69 Mustang. And he smashed it. We did fix it.
It was a drunk driver that smashed it, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was that story.
Yeah, that was a funky thing. But no, yeah, I had a 69 Mustang. And I
Yeah.
still had it when I had kids, first kids,
Mm-hmm.
though. And then by that point, before I had kids and before I got married, it had been smashed in the front from somebody running a...
Maybe that was the drunk driver.
no, that person was driving without headlights.
Ah.
They'd been at a bank and I was delivering pizzas and they'd been at a bank and so they were parked with the car running, the headlights were
Yeah.
shining in the window, so they'd turned their headlights off, hadn't thought about it, drove through the intersection. I was turning left through an intersection, trying to deliver pizzas. And so I continued to drive it with a smashed in front end. Until then, I was living in the southern state and got pulled over and got a citation for not having a front bumper. So some uncles took some railroad tie stuff or something,
Probably.
metal.
Man, I gotta
And-
get Dad
and
on to
stuck-
talk about stories from his
stuck a-
side of the family.
Welded a, railroad cross tie for a bumper on the front of my 69 Mustang.
Man, I gotta get Dad to talk about his grandpa. He's got some wild stories from his side.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. What other topics did I want to cover? I think we got all the questions here. Let me refresh it. And then we'll check chat. You've been going to bed early. I'm keeping you up late tonight.
Well, I've been waking up at 5 o'clock every morning, so
Yeah.
maybe I'll sleep in past 5.
Let's see.
No, one
those-
night that I've been here, I stayed up till midnight.
Fine, I stayed up till 5.
I've been up at 5 every morning. That's why I got up and took a walk yesterday.
Yeah, I got to go find fun stuff.
Yeah, and I was going to maybe take a walk this morning, but I was like, I shouldn't. We need to get going.
Yeah, went and did fun stuff today. I think that's all the questions from here.
Yeah.
All right, let me check chat. Looks, unless it's not loading, but
Yeah, anytime that I thought, maybe I'll stick my kids in school, the thought of dealing with multiple teachers wanting to talk to me, dealing with my multiple kids, and the fact that anytime we had a summer activity, like oldest son was taking summertime classes at the community college, and basically it was school hours. We had to get him there by 8 or 9 in the morning and, pick him up at 2 in the afternoon. And oh my goodness, just the effort it takes to get him and then little brother, little Minna, and baby out the door, drop him off somewhere, come home, think about what time I have to go back and pick him up. My day is shot.
yeah.
I could get more done in just the morning of letting everybody sleep in and wake up when they feel like it than trying to drag everybody out of the house. So,
It's a lot more
school's for the
peaceful.
worst. Now then, poor kids that are having to go to school and the schools aren't being a good fit for them, especially, 5-year-olds that are being completely stressed out. You can sit with the teachers and be like, you need to...
You work for me.
you need to be giving them, as stress-free as possible place for them to feel safe. They're 5, they're getting used to school, and be able to, have their needs met and get them an appropriate education. And so, it's your job to figure out. So if this kid is, falling apart and crying, or if this kid's being a behavior, problem,
Was it all behavior is communication?
yeah. So it's like, I'm like, well, then you need to have somebody right there with them, helping coach him through how he needs to navigate this situation, whether you
Yeah.
bring an administrator or, bring in, I don't know, what's the little guy lately? Because then there is a helper in that class, And usually when I pick up,
Even just when I would help with the dance classes, there's always like one or two kids that, as me as the like, you know, helper for the little Tiny Tots dance class, I was always, you know, there's either the kid that like needed the extra like closeness or snuggles, or the runner that you're always chasing down.
yeah, so I know I can't just be lording over these 5-year-olds and
Yeah.
telling them you have to be laying down there, you know. And so why
Never-
is he upset? Does he not want to lay down, or is
Never
he
heard of
scared?
5-year-olds napping.
Yeah, and the thing is we're pulling into the school at 7 o'clock in the morning with these kids. Okay, so you know the boys next door, they
Yeah.
don't nap during the day, but they sleep at school. Even the 5-year-old does.
Yeah.
And you know how crazy that 5-year-old is.
Yeah.
But it's because they have to be drug out of bed and dressed at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That's just not natural. And
Yeah.
so then, you know, we're in this line, but yeah, drag them into.
Mornings are so hard. Just trying to like function in the morning with the two of
And then
mine
I've
is
had
so
to,
hard.
sometimes when I've had to walk him
Just trying to get
all the
breakfast.
way down to the, so I think the last time I took the 4-year-old out of the car with me and drug them all the way down to the school cafeteria. And that time I was actually in line at the right time, but I was trying to get his shoes on and they didn't let me in with him. And then we get down there, and then he's clinging and sad, you know. Sometimes he's just like, I want you, don't leave me. And I'm like, just peel him off of me and hand him to somebody else. And
Yeah.
then, you know, they'll be like, well, he turned his day around, but then at the end of the day, I don't know, he has, I'm trying to think of what the behaviors are they still complain about with him.
Being human.
Yeah.
Being a child.
Of course, I mean, he hasn't even been aggressive to other students. It's been the adults, but
Yeah.
it's adults, you know, random adults in the lunchroom or somebody dealing
I feel
with
like that's
him
again
that-
where it's like you gotta realize they're their own little people. You
Yeah.
can't just move them around like pegs on a board.
you know. And then there's like, he was hitting people with his backpack, and he's like, I wasn't hitting people with my backpack, but I hit that lady. I did, you know.
He's like, get your facts straight.
But
I
did-
won.
You know, I did jump on her back because she took my backpack away from me.
Bottom line, don't mess around, find out.
I mean, the poor kid probably sat down at the bench and maybe moving around with the backpack on his back, you know, and then the adult swoops in wanting to rip it off his back because he's bonking kids next to him. And yeah, he's just going to come down fighting.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right, we got some more questions. Will colostrum milk give me superpowers?
Ooh.
I
Yeah.
love colostrum.
So,
Isn't there someone that you have to like be careful that they don't come
Yes.
take your colostrum?
yeah. I got to where I don't even want to post on Facebook that we had a calf because this one lady from the town over, and is she Guatemalan or Honduras or no? I think the Guatemalans were the guys that we had come to the farm to do the one bull. That was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The one lady from somewhere in Central America has her secret family recipe to use the cow colostrum for something, and oh my gosh, yeah, she must be at my door begging to buy the colostrum. But yeah, we have
Colostrum. I mean, colostrum's good. I know. Was it Kate from Venison for dinner? They have a freeze dryer, so they'll freeze dry their colostrum to save it.
Okay, curious question. Was pregnancy and birth as painful as movies and such make it out to be? Or is it a bit exaggerated? Yeah.
How much time do you have?
Oh.
It's when you fight it is when it gets painful.
yeah.
It's
you
the
know,
mindset.
It's definitely.
It's hard. It's hard work. It doesn't have to be, oh my gosh, overwhelming, like freak out. Like if you can keep, it's a mind game. It really is a mind game. If you can stay in a good headspace.
Cat colostrum. Well, we were talking about calf. Like a baby cow.
We did have
But
the
we
horse.
did. Yeah, we did. But the kids have milked that random dog. Remember that
Oh, gosh,
dog?
I'm
that
trying to
came
remember.
from- what was that dog's name?
Was it the tiny one or was it the big one?
Yeah, they called it Tiny Dog.
Yeah, it was
didn't
just
they?
Tiny
It
Dog.
was Tiny Dog.
It was like running down
And
the road.
It came up pregnant, and then I think little boys were just like milking its tiny little.
But I did try the horse. We got a horse, didn't realize it was pregnant.
Yeah. We did have,
Tried a little bit of that milk, but no. Back to the
Oh.
calf colostrum. Well,
Yeah.
no, the calves don't make colostrum though. It's just cow colostrum that the calves drink.
Yeah.
Anyway, birth. Love talking about birth. I don't know. It's like you were saying earlier, like there's so many factors that go into it. Like you can have your birth plan, so many things can happen. But as far as the pain management and stuff, it really is a mindset.
Yeah.
And it's like as soon as you start feeling panicky and resist and like
any
tensing,
of your muscles that are engaged, even if you just happen to be like talking to the person next to you as a contraction comes on, when you're talking, you have these muscles just engaged. Any muscles that are kind of tensed and engaged and activated at the moment when contraction hits, it's like, I realized that like if a contraction hit in the middle of me talking, I couldn't, come back and come down from it. It was, that was a painful bout.
Yeah.
If I made sure, like, y'all be quiet, leave me alone a minute. Shut
away.
up. And you could let all those belly muscles and everything be relaxed as a contraction came on and not tense, then yes, it's,
and it's not like 24/7, like the whole labor is like intense pain because it comes in waves. And so the trick is if you can stay mentally in the right space so that you have to like consciously and very purposefully keep yourself relaxed and not tense because it's basically a giant cramp, but you got to keep the rest of your body and everything else like you're, floating, just like, so
and
you just
visualizing what the muscles are doing. So the muscles there are kind of,
it's like a balloon.
The long muscles, well, like putting a sweater over your head, really. Yeah. So, it's like putting a sweater over your head. You have the long muscles that are pulling, long way up and everything. And then you have muscles, that are stretching and opening the opening of the sweater. So it's like pulling a sweater over your head. And so if you think about
each contraction is opening and, getting everything in position. Yeah, it's all a mind game.
I've had one, like, really completely pain-free labor. Number 4? Yeah, number 4. And that was just like, wow. I mean, it really wasn't painful. I was like,
easy peasy.
Is this it? And then basically, like,
how quick was that once you, like, how fast was that labor once you, like, because a lot of times there's, the beginning of labor where it's very kind of spaced out, or you can still kind of like be moving around and doing stuff while you're like, oh, I think something's happening. Yeah. And then once you hit active labor.
My water broke early in the day. And then about, evening time, when it's more like, 4 or 5 o'clock. Now I was talking on the phone and doing stuff, and I was really distracted because I remember, and you were like next to me on the couch watching.
I fell asleep watching Mighty Mouse, and I missed it. Okay. And then that's what I remember.
Yeah, so, I thought it was Bugs Bunny, but I know I was talking on the phone and just droning on and whatever, and just feeling like, oh, it's the beginning stage, like I can feel something every few minutes, but, you just feel stuff. As soon as I got off the phone and just kind of went, and chilled a minute, and a contraction hit, I went, whoa. That was more intense than I realized. Yeah. And Dad was just coming home. And so I think he was on his way home at that point when I went, whoo. Yeah. And it was within an hour.
Gosh, I'm glad the day I had Doe Baby that Milliardo stayed home, because he was working like an hour at least, an hour and a half drive.
But that one was so
I'm
funny
glad he,
because
stayed home that day.
About the time that I was like, oh, it's a painful contraction, I felt like I needed to sit up, and basically I needed a hand, and basically like sat up, and the act of sitting up, he spat out. I mean, I just really I didn't go through the pushing things I did with the others. I was like, I just had this compulsion. I was like,
well, actually, like just in the right
this
spot.
Is what happened was, I actually was still mostly fully clothed at the moment, but I was like, because I've just been like, oh, got off the phone, like, oh, I feel this, so I better just go. And this was my first one at home, so I'd had ones in the hospital that went on and painful and whatever, because you're just all stressed out there. Yeah, but you wouldn't know, thankfully.
Yeah, I know, right? You'll have to tell the story of like how you went from the hospital birth to the unassisted.
So then anyway, I was just like, oh well, he got home, let's lay down on my side, and we're in for the long haul now. Here starts the hours of counting. And I think I had like about the second contraction after having that thought and just getting relaxed in bed, that I was like, you need to look, turn on the light. And so basically he went to turn on the light, and I'm kind of half, trying to expose myself so he can take a gander. And as as he comes back, I kind of like put my hand out, like to get a hand up, you know, just like I had this compulsion to just kind of sit up, like doing a crunch, and literally, you know, because I had, you know, loops, ups, one hand, you know, he literally just, you know,
slid on out.
Just, yeah, slid on out when I sat up and did a crunch. But yeah, that was, that's why I was like, dang, we figured out the easy way to do this now. So let's do this again. So then we did it again. And we had that last little crazy thing that was your delayed
and that labor.
Now, talking about pain for labor. Labor can be painful depending on the baby's position. So if the baby's head...
Or like if the baby, you know, if the labor gets kind of stalled by baby being in a bad position or stuff.
Let's see, my daughter was the same way. They had to break her mom's water, and while they were getting ready for her to come, she just fell out. Had to rush in to catch her. Yeah. So now the next...
LOL, he just came out just like that.
Yeah, I mean, I basically was
I got a cramp on my... I got a Charlie horse in the middle of my last one.
Hang up the phone. Okay, whoo, you know, stand up, and that's a few contractions. Dad gets home, and like, oh, let's go lay down. A couple more contractions, like... Let's turn on the light and rip off the underwear, and
there's a baby.
Let me sit up. There's the baby. you know.
Oh, crazy.
There he is. The next one, you know, talking about positioning and stuff. He was at the point that I was like, we're past time. This baby should be here. I'm kind of ready. I was actually, you came in to watch this one, and then you're getting scared, and then because it was going on, and this was painful, intense, and I'm like, okay, so we hit this tiny painful intense. I thought they should be popping this baby out, and I'm kind of like, do you see anything? This is getting sketchy and scary. So when kids come out, you know, like if a mom's kind of laying there, you know, you're gonna see, you know, the baby's face is gonna be chin tucked, facing down, like, you know, if the mom's laying in bed, facing more toward the floor, and you're gonna have kind of the top part of their head that gets kind of squeezed into a pointiness, you know, coming out. Well, that's what they're supposed to do. But some kids will get really bracy, like this crazy man we had, and have his head all the way cocked back and flipped upside down. So he's facing up, but he has his head cocked back, which actually I've read recently can break a neck, because if the head is back like that and then the body's being pushed and the head stuck, you know. So he was basically what they call a stargazing face presentation. So instead of what was crowning being that top part of the head that can mush and be malleable and get pointy, was basically like his forehead and the bridge of his nose. And that was pretty intense, and he shouldn't have come out that way. If I'd been in the hospital, as soon as they saw that, they would have literally pushed him in with their hand and held him from coming and rushed me in to cut me open, like, even though he was practically out. But it was a very dangerous presentation, and that was painful. So here, number 4.
So the comment that says, how many did you have before? Maybe it's something about muscles getting used to it. Nope. It's positioning, because it's such a like particular way the baby needs to come out of the birth canal, and like the way they're supposed to be positioned and the way their head turns and their body turns to follow down the birth canal is this very like particular way it's supposed to flow. So if anything gets kind of wonky, it makes it much harder.
Yeah. So yeah, get back in. So yeah, the funny thing is a good friend of mine was a midwife at that point, but they were out west in another state, and so we didn't really realize until we kind of had debriefing afterwards. This was so we were all
and he was so purple when he came out too.
So I'm talking to my husband later, and I don't know, this might have even been the next day or that night or something, and I'm looking at the baby's head, and I'm like, you know, his head is so rounded where usually, you know, a newborn baby's isn't.
The little plates shift over.
And my husband's looking at me and kind of looking, he goes slowly like, well, that's not the part that came out first. And I'm going, what? Like his butt came out first? I mean, that's not what happened. And he goes, no. And he thinks about it, and he holds his, you know, hand up, his like thumbs and forefingers to, you know, make kind of like an oval. Mm-hmm. And he holds it up to his forehead and the bridge of his nose. And he's like, well, I saw this first, and then he makes it wider, and then this. So he's showing me with his hands on his face how the baby came out. And I start to relay that to my friend that's a midwife. Well, because that's not, I mean, it got scary too, because he said, and then the head, when the head was out, just stopped. And I was like totally in another universe, in pain, and the effort that I took of getting that head out, I just like out of body experience collapsed. And there was only a head out, not the rest of the baby. You know, that's not really a good thing.
Yeah,
So,
that was a little sketchy.
Yeah. So at the time, you know, he's like, well, that part, and then the head came, he's describing it, and he goes, and he was a really kind of dusky grayish purple.
Gosh.
And then he started to turn really purple, you know, and then, well, at that time, in real time, what was happening is he's going, well, and actually I wasn't on my back. I was kind of at that point
Hands and
because,
knees.
well, not even hands and knees, because when I was pushing him and it wasn't working right, and I was like, this baby should be there, and he wasn't seeing anything, wasn't seeing anything, and I
This
was
is
in
baby number 5,
intense,
too.
I was in intense pain, and I had wanted a midwife, but we had just moved to that state, and they're not really legal there, and I couldn't find the underground ones then. I know where they are now, but I had wanted a midwife, and I knew, you know, one of these gut things, like I knew I needed a midwife with this birth, and I didn't have one, and so when I was actually yelling at him between contractions, can't you see anything yet? He's like, no, you know, with what I was feeling, the baby should have been crowning, and he wasn't. So I told myself that I'm sure I needed another position. I had no idea what to do and didn't have the help. I said, and I'm going to make one big move and I'm so done. So I had flipped myself over, but I wasn't on hands and knees. I was like my chest to the bed and butt in the air, really. So anyway, when the head came out and I kind of collapsed, he goes, honey, he's not all the way out yet. And in my mind, you know, in reality, what happened is I couldn't even get a breath. My head was spinning, and I just kind of put my finger up like just 1 minute. In my head, I literally felt like, stop the show, turn around, hands on the hip, and go, do you not think I don't realize that? So
I think one thing I noticed with Dough Baby, as like that morning, because it was that morning, I was like, I think something's happening. And then I was still kind of moving around, kind of seeing like if this was labor starting. And I kept just telling Milliardo, go away. Just like, go away. And I was like, okay, I think labor started.
Yeah. Yeah. But so then, really, I needed to catch my breath. And then, yeah, I, you know, caught my breath and getting in. But my husband did reach in, and because his shoulder was a bit stuck, he kind of took his finger, you know, and hooked under an armpit and kind of, you know, popped. I mean, there's other.
Did you? I mean, you guys like.
There's
prep
other
for
midwifey
this
techniques.
as much as you could.
Kind of, a little bit. But, I mean, there's other midwifey techniques. You know, they probably would have done for that children. But anyway, my friend, there's a midwife out west in the state, so talking to her on the phone, and you know, this is about the time we were just kind of having this conversation about how did he come out and debriefing each other about this experience. And so I said, you know, that, you know, this is what showed, you know, and she goes, oh my God, that would have scared me. You know, that's terrifying. And I said, well, I mean, to him, the whole thing is terrifying. He doesn't know which part really to be concerned with or not. So, I mean, he didn't know that was extra wrong. But anyway, and then, yeah, just that the colors he turned, she's like, oh, that's, yeah. So yeah, when I went into the doctor's office, because with that home birth, I was seeing a regular doctor that was not supportive of home birth and was a little bit, you know, we have antagonistic with me, at least that doctor's office. The one main doctor wasn't so bad, but there was a whole lot of cattiness in that office. And so I came in with the baby and then when I talked to them about it, yeah, they were like, you know, we would have not let you birth that baby like that. You know, we would have held and
But
pushed.
you
I've
weren't
talked
there.
I've talked to other people, you know, that
Yeah.
have been in that situation. And yes, they will literally push the baby back
Sure.
in if it's a brow presentation, because that can be really, really dangerous. And they would have cut me open, and I did not want that to happen.
Yeah.
And then one
man.
family that I don't know offhand, you know, you wouldn't. There's no hints I could tell you which one I'm talking about. But,
Yeah.
it was boy and then girls your age, boy second son's age, but anyway, and they have and actually one girl now is the same age as number 4 and works at the grocery store down there. I keep trying to get him to go talk to her.
I know who you're talking about now.
But that family, her sister worked in the office at that doctor's office I
Yeah.
went to. I didn't know it. And the funny thing is at a birthday party or something, she just started bad mouthing this patient they had, which was me,
Yeah.
about how, and it was hilarious because then they all knew the story and they defended me.
Aw.
But anyway, yeah, number 5 was a rough birth.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm like. I could probably. I like having a midwife there. I'm not sure if I'd go like completely unassisted.
yeah, I wanted
prefer
a midwife
having a
that
midwife
time. I mean, the first one that I had,
for the fourth kid.
the first one I had at home in the southern state. And my friend that I say that is a midwife in a western state, she was my good friend there in the southern state. Well, it was before she and I both moved to different states, and we did a lot of stuff and everything together. And she wasn't a full-on midwife then, but she worked in the field, and so she knew the midwives. And I didn't have health insurance to get it just paid for at a hospital, and I didn't want to have in a hospital. And then I talked to the midwife, and then I was like, $3,000. Oh my God, I could never afford that, which then I guess we couldn't now, it's not a big deal. But anyway, I was just, the funny thing is I was in the office and about in tears and of course emotional and pregnant, 10 weeks pregnant or something. And
so hard imagining you emotional.
and the thing is I looked at them and I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? Just have it all by myself? Because I had no insurance. I couldn't afford to pay them. And I was asking all these, can I do it this way? Can I do it that way? I said, what am I supposed to do? Just do it myself? And the lady just deadpan and was like, well, yeah, you could. And it was such a foreign concept to me. I was like, what? And then they were like, well, we know some people we can put you in touch with. And, you want to talk to some other moms that have had births by themselves at home. And yeah, so that was, this was for number 4. And then so I ended up being able to use that midwife for a couple of appointments because I tend to get preeclampsia, and so yeah, I was watching out for that. And with that one, this super easy birth number 4, I was heading toward preeclampsia toward the end. Well, I was having the symptoms. I was getting it, and yeah, it was not bad enough that they would have said I had to do anything about it yet, but I was trying to manage that. And he was born a couple weeks early because I know the midwife who
I was the one that you really got preeclampsia with.
So the midwife that I was seeing just for a couple checkup appointments was good friends with my good friend that was in the field. And so I know she just kind of was like checking up on me. She's like, if she doesn't have that baby by this week, I'd be getting really concerned about her. And I popped him out. It was super easy.
Yeah.
But yes, with Minna here right before that, because she was number 3, I was kind of like, I had my first 2 regular in hospital. No, just typical. Nothing real significant about either there, except for the second one. I walked in like in labor. My water broke as I walked in the doors, like shift change at 7 in the morning. They finally got me a room that wasn't in labor and delivery because that was all full, and they were like, in the next hour we got a few moms that were cleaning up and getting out of there, and we'll get you a room. And before that time, before an hour had gone by, I was like buzzing the nurse. And so yeah, otherwise, number 2 came fast. They just got me in. They didn't have me in a proper room, and within an hour he was crying. Like the nurse came in to ask what was wrong. She's like, whoops, I see hair. Ran away.
Nice not having had like 30-something hour labor.
Yeah, so she ran away. The doctor didn't even really make it in there. I don't know. So the second one was easy. And so with Minna and being the third, I didn't know where to look for midwives or whatever. But there was another hospital nearby that had midwives that worked in the hospital. And I went with them. They were very medical. It was a black lady she wasn't from South Africa. No, yeah, that one was from South Africa. The one that I had for little girl, was a black lady from the Dominican, and she actually was on my side. She was like, my mom had 10 kids, they had them at home, and she let me see her. So both of the girls, I was getting toxemia preeclampsia pretty bad. The later boys, I tended toward it in the end, but nothing scary bad. But yeah, with Minna, she was born a month early because I was seeing those midwives. But like I said, they were very medical, and they seen it coming from months away. But I feel like with them, they did more like doctors. They just watch you and watch you and
Until
watch
they
you
can intervene.
until it's so bad that they have to intervene. They really didn't advise me or do anything to like slow down or prevent this preeclampsia from accelerating, happening, all this. I learned later many things that can be done to prevent. So anyway, she was born a month early, and that was induced and fast and a bit painful and all that. Would you say hospital or home birth is better? Home, of course, and especially with especially with a good trained midwife.
Yeah,
I
think
now
the
my
biggest
best
thing
friend
is
at
like
home's a midwife.
I think the biggest thing is
How many sisters does Minna have? Minna has 5 siblings.
Yeah, 5 siblings, 4 brothers, 1 sister. So
we got boy, girl here in this family.
So for hospital or home birth, I think the biggest things to consider is like, what are you most comfortable in? For me, I'm most comfortable at home. For probably, other people, they might feel more comfortable in a hospital. But in a hospital, you have to be going very educated and ready to, like, make sure you get informed and everything. Make sure the doctors do their due diligence of what the risks are for everything, because it's often one intervention always leads to another.
But there's so many things out of your hands and out of their hands, because as soon as one thing happens,
the policies in the hospital really tie hands a lot.
Yeah.
So
but yeah, she was. I went
for any like normal good birth, like, and any midwife's trained to like look for anything that might be a higher risk or more concern that might need hospital attention before the labor starts. Anything.
Or
overall,
I
think
labor. I mean, I hear the details of it in my area now, because a good friend of mine has actually just she's been midwifing and apprenticing for several years now, and just this past month has had some of her first solo. But she's so very educated, even more so than some of the practicing midwives in our area, just because of philosophy. So you really need to check out the philosophy of the midwife you're using too.
And there's so much because there's so much like intricate like hormones that go into play with labor, that like the woman really has to be in like feel good and safe and not be stressed out, and and the hospitals are very restricted and can't really fit to each woman's labor, and each labor is so different. And they're limited by their policies and different things, mostly for legal reasons, so they don't get sued. But then it's made to get the baby out of the mom and everyone alive, but it's not really made to help the mother have a good labor.
Yeah. So when Minna was born, like I said, it was the black South African midwife lady, and the placenta. You heard her. She's like, Minna wasn't in good shape. She needed to be born ASAP. She was born a month early, and they induced me, and it was like they started inducing me at like 5 o'clock, and you were born like at 10 something. I mean, it went fast and hard. So that was a hard Pitocin induction. That was not pleasant.
Pitocin rarely ever very comfortable.
Basically, they were like, "Oh, you have to come in, and we have to check, we have to check your blood pressure and protein in your urine every few days." And then they make me come in again on a Saturday, and I'm like, "I need to go play church piano on Sunday." And then they're like, "Okay," and then they're gonna let me go. And then they're like, "Wait a minute, did anybody check the urine sample today?" They've done all the other things. Yeah. They're like, "Oh, no, wait a minute, it's still sitting here." And instead of the techs doing it, the doctor, that South African lady, she comes by, and she gets the dipstick, and she looks at it, she's like, "Oh, no, give me another one, that's not right." Oh, it was just it was so high. Yeah. And then they're like, "You need to go down for blood work." So then we go trumpet, and of course I have all my other kids, the other 2 boys with me. And I tromp down for blood work. We get down to blood work, and the blood work people say, they want you to go back up. They don't want the blood work. And then we get back up there, and they're like, "You need to have this baby now." I don't know. The
midwives is so nice, because it's not being ping ponged. It's like one person focused on you.
So then we've got the kids and the whatever, and we're trying. And then they look at me and they go, "And you need to calm down, or else you're going to have a heart attack. You need to have this." Yeah, I mean, because my blood pressure. Because when you have preeclampsia, hang on. Going on about?
I'm just saying blood pressure. When I would go and get my blood pressure, and say with the I remember with Doe Kid, I would go and get my blood pressure. But that's not the same. When you have toxemia and you're spilling protein, I'm just saying, you don't have magnesium, you're about to have a heart attack. Your heart will stop. Okay.
So what?
I was just gonna say, my blood pressure goes up when I start talking about my books. And my midwife, one time I went to go get like my just for my regular little checkup thing with my pregnancy, my midwife, there's a couple times in appointments having to get my blood pressure, and she'd make me sit and stop talking for a bit so that my blood pressure would go normal, so I wasn't all wound up talking.
I know. Well, they would do my blood pressure, and it was high. Then they'd make me lay on my side for a while and take it again. It was still kind of like not okay. But then the protein in the urine was they were checking it. It was there already for weeks. But then that day that I came in, it was off the charts, and then they were like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna fill you with magnesium. We're gonna get blood work. You're just gonna have this baby now. And then when you came out, and the funny thing was, I think first thing I said, because that was intense, was like, oh my God, I'm glad she's here. Yeah. And then you were really white. Your color was white and blood red lips. And then this South African midwife is messing with the placenta, and she's just going on and on. She's like, look at this. Oh my gosh, you look like a smoker. The placenta was small and falling apart. It was just in bad shape. So in a case like that, when a baby stays in, like she was a month early, if she had stayed in with that placenta deteriorating, she would have started to not have the blood flow of nutrition she needed, and she would have started to they measure the baby. They would have noticed a lack of growth in the baby, but sometimes they don't catch that quick enough, and there could,
trying to
very
measure the
easily
growth
be a
in
baby death. You know,
trying to measure the growth in different things is hard to.
Oh, the lotus birth? You mean? Well, are you talking about in the call? Now, lotus birth is not cutting the cord. Lotus, you might be thinking about a baby in the call. Let's see. Is it true that it's better? That the Sena give the blood flow? Yes. Okay. So
like birth
you're
to
talking
baby.
about three different things here.
Okay.
So first of all, that when you do birth the baby, any normal sane person does not cut the cord until the cord completely stops pulsing, and that might be 15, 20 minutes at least. Give it, or 30 minutes. Just let it be, because the baby doesn't get all of its blood if you cut the cord early. And then even in a hospital setting, the one family that I was saying that the sister worked at, when she had her last baby, the second to last, they actually were in a hurry. And it was the cool doctor from the Dominican Republic that I had with my last one. And her second to last baby, that doctor was in a hurry and gave gentle traction on the cord for the placenta to come, and cut it and everything, did stuff, and she had some bad hemorrhaging, and it was scary. And she went to the same doctor. She went to that same doctor, and I told her, and this was before I had my last one, but I said, talk to her about delayed cord cutting and everything. And the doctor knew how bad it went last time. And so since this mother requested, please, when the baby is born, can you just put the baby on my chest, not rush me to deliver the placenta, not cut the cord, just let us be.
Yeah.
And that doctor agreed, and she told me after, she was so excited. She was like, it was so cool. And so they were in the hospital.
That's
and actually,
how it's supposed to be.
I know, it's supposed to be normal. That's normal. But she said all the nurses just stood there like, we don't know what to do. We don't have a job. But they just stood around and watched her. And they completely let her alone for 30 minutes until she was done holding the baby, nursing the baby. Gosh. And then she had the urges to push the placenta out.
Yep.
But this doctor,
and because also having the baby latched to nurse helps,
But this doctor appeased her with that because of how badly she messed up the previous time. And so then, and that's what we do at home. We don't worry about the cord at all. We look at the baby. The cord's just there intact. Your placenta's still inside of you. At the hospital, you don't even realize they're rushing you, pushing, and all of a sudden the placenta's out. You just chill and hold the baby a little bit. And, it might be 10 minutes later. It might be 30 minutes later. And then you get some edgy contractions, especially if you've nursed the baby. It helps release the oxytocin. Because actually in the hospital, what they do with my first one is like as soon as you have the baby, they gave me a shot of oxytocin in my butt to give your body the oxytocin to make but that was
already.
1990s, that was,
I know.
They don't do that anymore. But
nursing the baby releases
your body needs the oxytocin. So you didn't need to give me a shot in my butt and hurry up and get that placenta out in a couple minutes after birth. So anyway, yes, the delayed cord cutting is very beneficial, and that's what it just should be normal.
It really should
now,
be.
what a lotus birth is some people do not cut the cord at all. I don't know if you know about the lotus birth. So the placenta is delivered, and they just wrap it up. And because the baby, where you cut the cord and you leave a stump, it's going to fall off in a couple days or up to a week or something. So the lotus birth is kind of, the placenta stays attached. And you, baby, and the placenta stay together. Seriously, you wrap it up.
I mean, I can see
it lets it dry up, and you mother the baby and the placenta together until the cord detaches.
I can see someone doing that.
Now that's a lotus birth. I don't know. That's not anything we've done. Now I thought at first when I started to read that, like have something called a lotus. I was meant in the call. Some babies are born sac and all intact, and that's really cool. I mean, you'll see that with C-sections, but in vaginal births, there are babies that come out in the caul, and they don't need to breathe or anything.
Yeah.
They don't even have because when babies come out and they hit the air, when the air hits their body, it makes them, start to breathe.
Yeah.
And it's, as long as the placenta is intact and the cord attached, the baby's still getting nutrients from their mom. So that brings me to something else I want to say in 1 second. But anyway, they can come out with the whole bag and sack and waters, and you see the baby floating in there, and the baby just still like in another world and not taking a breath yet. And that's supposed to be quite a good luck omen. And I've seen pictures and heard of midwives that have that. Now, that brings us to the other thing about the baby not needing to breathe. So when a baby comes out and isn't breathing right away, as long as the placenta is attached and still attached and the cord attached, you're buying a good several minutes of, the baby still getting oxygen because that cord's still pulsing. So if a baby is in a little bit of trouble and slow to start, the worst thing you can do is what they do is immediately, clamp, cut, pull the baby away.
Because then you're taking away more of their blood.
Yeah, and you've just taken away the oxygen that they were still getting.
Yeah.
So the best thing, and what midwives would do, would leave the baby, still attached to the cord, and placenta still attached, and work with the baby, right there. You've bought yourself a good 3 minutes. 3 minutes of oxygen on a baby's brain is something, is significant, instead of trying to get, if you're trying to revive.
I like the way the midwives do it for my births, where it's the golden hour, that first hour the baby's born. Baby comes out, immediately to the mom's chest, get them nursing, another 20 minutes goes by, deliver the placenta, and then, that first hour after the baby's born. And it's just, mom's cuddling the baby, everyone's just, just cuddling the baby, nursing the baby, skin to skin. And then every 15 minutes, the midwife would just kind of step in for a second, just check my temperature, check baby's temperature, do kind of a quick look at us, make sure everything's still good, step back. So they do that every 15 minutes, that first hour, but mostly stay out of the way. And I really appreciate that, because then you can just focus on the baby. They've got, your other pair of eyes, making sure everything is, settling in well.
Yeah, so, saying you can ask them not to do that, you can ask a lot.
You need to really arm yourself with knowledge. If you're going to a hospital, you have to arm yourself with knowledge.
And even ones that say yes, they don't have to, and they don't always respect.
That's why a lot of people hire a doula, because then that's your wing person.
Because watching the B boys, the ones that are 5'4" and 2.5, all of them are Bs.
Yeah.
Watching them with hospital births, and that's all been in recent, because the other grandkids. Well, the last little boy was a home birth. But anyway, they just seeing, they do what they want anyway at the birth and say it was because it was needed or necessary. So that one doctor that was really cool, from Dominican Republic, and we actually made family friends with her, because I used her for my last little cis kiddo. And
I remember you talking about you were telling her things at appointments.
Yeah, she was cool, and she was very respectful of me. And then even because I do, with Minna here, I'm getting toxemia, preeclampsia. The beginnings of it was starting, and I was like, "Ooh, you need to be on a calcium channel blocker. You need to be on blood pressure medicine. You need to be on this and that." And in the 2 births between those 2 with the boys, I had learned a lot, and I became friends with some midwives, and learned how to prevent and ward off toxemia preeclampsia, which is lots and lots and lots of protein, and getting calcium, magnesium daily, and taking a bunch of herbs to help support, blood pressure and things. So I was on a whole regimen, and I was warding it off, but it was rearing its ugly head. And the thing was, is she knew from the beginning I wanted to have a home birth, and I might not show up at the hospital. I mean, I would if I need to, but she respected that. I mean, she trusted me, and she gave me the prescription. And then I went and I said, okay, because I wanted to not have a repeat of Minna. I didn't want to be in bad preeclampsia a month early and be in the hospital. So I was thinking, okay, I'll do what I need to do to keep all this in check so I can make it all to my due date. But I went home and researched and found out that taking the calcium channel blockers would not do anything to prevent the escalation. All it was doing was treating the symptom of high blood pressure currently.
Isn't that all allopathic medicine?
And I was like, okay, I can do other things. I can be very conscious of my blood pressure, and I can be doing other things to treat the symptoms. I would take something if it would prevent me from the dreaded march toward toxemia preeclampsia. And on top of that, part of my regimen was taking balanced calcium and magnesium, and I didn't want to take a calcium channel blocker if I'm trying to. So anyway, I just did go fill it. And so then she sees me, you go into the doctor's office, you're waiting in your room, but the doctor's going to other people first. And she see me in a room as she walked by. She just kind of points her finger at me. She's like, did you fill that prescription? And I said, no. And she goes, what? With her hands on her hips. I'm going to talk to you a second. Then she comes back in. And then I told her all that same reasoning I just told you guys. And she looked at me and she says, you're right. And at that point, too, because this was 13 years ago, people weren't talking about high fructose corn syrup and GMOs. That was a funny thing. So this lady's very Seventh-day Adventist, and they're very vegan and, health conscious and everything. And I remember I would end up saying something about something in an appointment. She'd go, really? And she'd start researching on a laptop, and we were talking about GMOs.
And fats.
Oh, yeah. So... and she was married to a white dude that's so funny. He's just like the silly, absent-minded. He's like the guy from Flubber. He's so funny. And they had a son that liked horses. And so they'd come over to the farm.
Yeah,
and
I remember
we went
him.
for a hike up to go watch the sunset on the mountain up that way. Yeah. So, they were fun people. And they were really well off in that one neighborhood. But the husband was like, fascinated with the farm, and he just wanted to come out and help and do stuff at the farm, and he wanted to take home the chicken manure and make a garden, and he was just having fun. But yeah, she would come into the appointments and we would discuss things, and I never did go on any kind of medication. And my biggest fear for that pregnancy was that the baby was going to be born slow to start, and that if I was in the hospital, they would pretty much crash cart her and go over. So we had this discussion with this really cool, doctor. And she wasn't a midwife. She was a full-on just OB doctor. But her mom had 10 kids at home. So, she was neat.
Man, having that experience of like...
So we sat there and I talked about my fear of, how the baby would be handled if just so to start. And she agreed. She said, I see it both ways. It just really depends. And she doesn't have control over it, really. Yeah. That sometimes the staff immediately deep intubulates and crash carts the baby. And other times, they kind of give a chance to bring around, see. And she's like, Anyway, that was my fear. And I had a lot of fear in that pregnancy and just angst. But I even was like, I don't want to go to the hospital, but I don't want to have an emergency at home where I have these young people and young girls seeing this as an experience, as a scary birth, to grow up and think, this is traumatic.
Because we had my cousin over.
Yeah, I had other girls around. Also, future daughter-in-law was around as a teen.
That was the first sleepover.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then, she's daughter-in-law now. But, I didn't want it to be a traumatic thing. I didn't want to bring him. So I was even like, you know what? How about if we, drove to the hospital? Because I know when I'm going to be at the end of labor. And, I know that, well, the way I figured was that if labor is going normally, lickety-split, and gets to where I'm, feeling like I'm going to have this baby, if I kind of pause and lay down at home and this baby's coming, it's coming, and there's probably nothing wrong if it's coming out nice and nice. If I get to that part and I'm laboring and I feel like the baby should be coming and the baby's not coming, I just go to the hospital. And we live in a small town, and a quick little road down there. We could drive fast and be in the hospital in, about 7 minutes probably. and if we're flying. So I'm just kind of like, I'll just stay home as long as I'm, laboring, and I'll just like stay home, and then oops, if the baby's coming, the baby's coming. If I'm like laboring, it gets intense and the baby's not coming and something's wrong, we'll mosey to the hospital. And then, so I wasn't set in my mind. I also was like, what if we just like go to the hospital parking lot and like clear out the seats in the back of the minivan? And like when I'm about to pop out the baby, drive to the hospital, and that way, like if I give birth in the back of the minivan and the baby is fine, because here my fear was about breathing. So if the baby's fine, we just drive away and go home. But like if the baby comes out and isn't breathing like the other ones that I birthed, we're right there to steps into the emergency room. There's not even a parking garage or anything. This is just a parking lot and emergency room doors like on the other side of the curb. So I was like, let's just go to the hospital and give birth in the back of the van.
Didn't end up happening that way,
but before I had her, I did have, because Minna here did travel soccer. So, and I was addicted to drinking like the Virgil's root beer, those nice brown bottles.
Yeah, I remember that.
That looked like beer. And I had to sip on those like all day long. So here my pregnant self would be driving down the road where the Shriners are like doing their collections, sipping on my bottle. I'd be sitting there at the soccer field, sipping on my bottle. Well, we were at the soccer field that one day, and I was really worried about the swelling gets bad for me, especially with the girls, that I was heading toward preeclampsia. And I was being really careful. But one leg swelled that the other didn't, weird one day. And I was like, ugh, that could be scary. So I did mosey myself down to the hospital, get checked out. Nothing came of it and everything. And then come to when I did have her, the doctor said, because it was a Saturday night, and the doctor said she was in the hospital that evening, and it was getting me, and she turned and she's like, I have a patient. I just have a feeling she might show up tonight. She really did. She was talking about me while I was at the end of my labor.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So you didn't go into the hospital till like the next day or something?
I never went to the hospital.
No, like after the baby was born.
I picked you up at Chick-fil-A parking lot the next morning from a Girl Scout event.
So, and also, what was it? It was, when were we dumping chicks?
Friday.
And then we had to spend the night Friday night, and then Saturday I went to a Girl Scout spend the night at an aquarium.
Yeah.
And it was the
then
friends
at 4
were
o'clock in the afternoon,
on Saturday.
I was on the porch talking to a neighbor. And he was actually the neighbor of brother down the road now. And my water broke just standing there in front of him. Just knocked out of the blue and just talking. I'm like, oh, well, that just happened. I don't know if you ever Chick-fil-A host Girl Scout means. No, because it was Sunday morning. We were meeting at Chick-fil-A parking lot on a Sunday morning.
So I had spent the night. So it was Saturday. So yeah, a day before you went into labor, you're out there with us. Doing chicken houses.
So what happened on
chicks.
Friday was kind of crazy. This is summertime. There's Vacation Bible School going on. Chicken dumping used to be a big thing of inviting all the homeschool teens over to help out. Well, chicken dumping was supposed to happen before Bible school that evening. And we had all these teens there. Well, I was taking little guys to Bible school, and the chick truck was very late. Yeah. And so I went to Vacation Bible School, came back with pizza for everybody. By the time, because that was 5 o'clock in the evening. We were supposed to be doing this at 5 or 6.
Were we walking people around on horses for a bit?
Yes. So it's
you're all big and pregnant.
So it's 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, and we were supposed to be doing work, but now they weren't showing up until 8 o'clock. So we pulled out some horses and into the second pasture. And here, me, big and pregnant, was just walking the pastures with horses, leading people around.
Probably while you went into labor.
Probably running and trotting with them, I'm sure.
Getting real ready for labor.
So we were all over, and then went and got kids from Bible school, and it was literally 10 o'clock at night.
So
and
that's why we had to spend the night.
Yeah, so the kids
And that was the first night that brother and now sister-in-law met and were hanging out.
Yeah, they literally... started talking to each other the night that kiddo was born, the day, to spend the night.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So then the next day, I go to, there was like a Girl Scout spend the night. So Saturday, I leave.
And you didn't
then,
leave till like 1 or 2.
And like, and the other funny thing with all this was all the other kids had,
Lawson's.
all right, have fun at Lawson's.
Go to Lawson's chat. Do you want anything?
Milliardo is off to Lawson's. What do you want?
I already went there twice with Dough Baby on my
So
back.
nice having it.
Yeah,
right there.
Dough Baby was being crazy, and I was like, I'll go for a walk. I'll go buy food. I'll put Dough Baby on my back.
Get him to sleep. So, because I had left, and then the other kids were still hanging out. Dad had like driven the other kids home and got back right before.
Well, so you left middle of the afternoon.
Yeah, so I was gone all Saturday. I missed the birth.
And then 4 o'clock, I'm standing on the porch and like, whoops, there goes my water. And I'm thinking, what are the chances of this waiting until the morning when you get back? Because, you didn't want to miss this. But I had other kids there, and I had a niece that lived with us during the summer that was there, close in age. So there was a bunch of kids. But yeah, and it was, then we had dinner, which was rabbits.
Nice.
Because we process
meat
rabbits, and everybody's eating on the front porch and having rabbits, and and then I was in denial big time. I was in denial that whole pregnancy.
Yeah,
that it was even
that's
a
why
thing.
you didn't even mention it
Yeah.
to me till I was like,
So-
you didn't even mention it to me. You mentioned it to our priest, and you were like 7 months pregnant.
I mean, because I was thinking about the other one, the super easy number 4. My water broke like early in the morning, and I didn't have labor until like 5-6 o'clock in the evening, and it was only like an hour, and he was born. So that was an all day, like 12 hours. And so I don't know. I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe I won't go into labor until middle of the night. But nah, I was in denial, and so I know I was sitting there just the other side of the window from them on the front porch eating, and just like watching movies on Netflix and trying to like distract myself.
Yeah.
And realizing that I was having to like scooch the chair back and sit right on the corner of the chair a certain way and lean forward on the, and I was just like, and then
that like once you've
when your
gone through
dad
labor
comes in,
before, and it's like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, I was just kind of ignoring it at that point. Like, no, let's see. Yeah, I do specifically remember once it felt real, I was sitting on those carpeted steps for a moment, about to panic and go, okay, God, I need help. Like, this is real. Yes, sorry, I realize
Well,
this is
because
happening,
once it
but,
starts, like I remember thinking this
like,
with the
okay.
second
But he
labor
comes
of like,
walking in.
once it starts, it's like, there's nothing
Okay.
to do
But
but go through it.
He came walking in to tell me he was taking future daughter-in-law home, and I looked at
her siblings. Her siblings were there too, right?
I
must
think
have
the
been.
rest had gone home earlier in the day.
Oh,
They
really?
spent the night, but she was the only one there late.
Okay.
So she was eating dinner with us, but yeah, the siblings had already gone home. And I had not said a word to anybody. I was sitting there, and he said he was going to take her home, which is just in town, maybe
20 minutes.
well, no, it only takes 10-15 minutes to get to her house and then back. But anyway, 30 minutes tops, he'll be gone. And I said, what car are you taking? He's like, mine, doesn't matter. And I was like, which one's least likely to break down? I think there must have been something going on because he looked at me funny, and he's like, should I take another car? Anyway, and then I was almost like, oh, should I just let them all stay around? But I was still worried about them witnessing
Something going
stressful,
wrong.
tense, bad moment. And I was just kind of looked. I still didn't say anything to him. I just kind of looked at him about like, how long you be gone? Take a car that's not going to break down on you. And
He probably could tell.
so when he came back, like when he walked in the room to talk to me, I was really, on the corner
Active
of my
labor.
chair, working hard. And at that point where you almost can't move, can't make yourself go somewhere else. And he walked in and he asked, what did he ask? Because
I think in remembering you telling the story, he was like, where do you want to go?
No, that's not, I forget what he asked first, or what I was doing, or what I needed. Probably just kind of like, are you okay with what you need? And I just was kind of looking around and the bed behind me and looking. I said, I'm trying to figure out where I want to go, is what I said to him.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what he asked, but I said, I'm trying to figure out where I want to go. And he's like, oh, do you want to go to the hospital? And I'm like, no, I can make about 2 steps. That's it. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to go from this chair, about 2 steps away. I don't think I can manage any more than that. And I couldn't. And I think after I'd had my little come to Jesus moment on the stairs, I was like, I'll go lay down in the bed and get some pillows to support me to let all my muscles relax and whatnot. I did that for one contraction, about jumped right out of the bed going, because some babies, you really can't be leaning backwards or laying back.
Which is
and
also...
some you can't be forward. Like with the one that was the really, what was he, number
4? He
5,
was,
no.
4, he was 5.
No. The one that was a really hard one, the one
5.
that was a malpresented, when if I tried to do anything like leaning forward or on hands or knees or leaning against something and a contraction hit, I just wanted to scream. I remember being in the kitchen and backing up to the counter and leaning and pressing backwards on the counter at a slant. And that's the one.
You really got to listen to what your body wants in the moment.
Yeah, so that's the one that I was having a real hard time, and I made myself flip over weirdly.
Yeah. Also,
but no.
Chat, just so you know, what you think of as the normal birthing position on your back makes your pelvis much smaller by a good percentage.
Yeah. So
for getting the baby out.
I'd already realized that if I tried to lay down on my back or be reclined or leaning backwards in any way, I just wanted to jump out of my skin for this, birth in particular. Not all of them are like that. And so that's why I ended up kind of sitting on the corner of my chair and leaning on my desk and just kind of zoning out, watching. I was leaning and flopped forward and trying to relax. And so then I'm looking around where am I going to go? And I realized, well, let me throw some blankets and pillows on the floor and I'll just lean forward on the corner of my bed, and that's what I did. I mean, he walked in after taking the kids home. And I'm like, I'm trying to figure out where to go. He's like, you want to go to the hospital? I'm like, no, I need to take 2 steps and have this baby.
Yeah.
And I hadn't told anybody if it was a boy or a girl.
At
all. I hadn't. So I did literally, instructed him to throw some stuff on the floor, took 2 steps from my chair. I mean, not even, that's probably 1 step from my chair to the corner of the bed and flopped down. And probably went through 2 sets of push in and, she came out. And I was just really blah and spent. Some births you're like, oh yay.
Yeah.
This one, I got her out. I'm just like, ugh, ugh,
It's
and
done.
So then of course he's behind me, has this baby, but the cord's through my legs, whatever, and he's kind of I can't maneuver the baby back to you, and I'm kind of no, I'm good, just whatever. I'm I honestly didn't care. Just I wasn't, and he's like, oh, it's a girl, and I'm like, yeah, I know.
Though because you knew ahead of time.
I knew.
The rest of us
because
didn't
if
know.
it was a boy, I wanted to give it away.
That's what I said. I was like,
I even had that one mom friend from soccer. I said, I'll just give you. She had 2 girls. If it's a boy, I'm just gonna give it to her. She wants a boy so bad. I don't want a boy. Yeah, that's my mental state with that pregnancy.
We got the awesome sis instead. Your adventure buddy.
Yeah. But no, that was.
And then so me, I was gone for all of this, and so I was 12. I didn't have a cell phone or anything. Went with the Girl Scout troop. They were a lot more
prim proper. Let's do our nails. Let's go to the mall.
Which was not me,
be
especially.
Cliquish,
especially
Minna's mom was not in the in crowd in that troop. To say the least.
Hey, but now you got your own troop.
But me and little
now
sis,
you're the cool person.
We have an awesome troop. And
You're telling all the girls telling you about their boyfriends. We got to talk about that next.
Oh my gosh, how late are we gonna talk?
I don't know. We'll wrap it. We'll wrap it up soon.
Still even listening to us.
Well, now it's prime listening hours because it's lunchtime. A lot of people can listen at work, and so anyway.
But who all at the farm is listening to me gab on it? Wait, what day is it?
It is.
It's Friday for them?
Friday for them, because it's our Friday night. Anyway, so I had no clue any of this was happening. And so we go spend the night at the aquarium, driving back, and one of my leaders in the car I was riding in, she was like, are you sure your mom's going to be okay driving while she's pregnant? And I'm like, she's mom, she's fine. You're doing all the chicken stuff with us before. So, me, I'm the only girl of 4 boys. And we get to the parking lot. Everyone's picking up their kids. It was Chick-fil-A was the meeting spot for everyone to pick up their kids after this, spend the night. And so I get, in the parking lot, and then I see the van, And then I see like slowly everyone piling out of the van. I'm like, what's going on? And then I see a bundle and I'm like, the baby. And then it's a girl. I'm like, I have a sister. So it was like basically the best surprise ever. It was so funny. Let's see, Minna, do we still have hot cocoa powder and milk at the house? Answer in chat. I don't have headphones. No, I don't think we do. Just in case.
We have lots of milk. Remember? We have
okay.
like, all those containers of milk.
That's right. From yogurt. I need to make yogurt. Cocoa, no. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Any last things? Gotta immortalize the fun birth stories.
What are we talking about? I know I had a whole bunch of ideas just now as we were getting to the end of this one. We had.
Let's see. Birth is fun to talk about. Let's see. We talked about you're proud of me.
Yes.
You talk about the VTubing experience. It's fun too because like little sis, she could just like hop on if I'm doing like a, especially something where I'm just like drawing, and so I'm not doing something super like interactive or engaging. Then we can just like chit chat while I draw. I talked about a little bit about kids and homeschooling. We didn't get to talk about autism yet, but
chat publicly. Oh, wait a minute. No, I thought that was
no, that's just the bar.
Okay. Just chat publicly as Milla Vanilla.
Maybe next time you're on, we can talk about autism.
Yeah,
this is really interesting. If
everybody's autistic, then no one is autistic.
If we just keep changing the goalpost so that any little quirk fits into the autism scale, then it's a scale and everyone's autistic, and you won't notice that the numbers are actually going up. And what could cause that? I don't know.
Well, if everybody's quirk is just labeled as autism, then the actual things that are kind of damaged to children, doesn't seem so bad because we all have a little bit of that. But, yeah.
We're not damaged. It's just our personality. But when the lines are blurred.
I mean, there's a lot of personality. I have said from long ago that they're diagnosing differences as disorders. When back, in the 90s when it was the ADD and ADHD and
now we know how much connection the gut has to those things. And it's like, oh, there is actually something you can do about this stuff.
Yeah, and it's this. They make it be that everybody, falls on, not everybody, but so many people fall on this spectrum. It's all the same. Doesn't matter. We shouldn't talk about severity of autism. But then at the same time, you start comparing and they go, oh, no, if you've met one person with autism, you've only met one person with autism. That doesn't relate to anybody. So in one hand, they're trying to blanket everybody. And then on the other hand, then just going, oh, yeah, but they're also very individual. Exactly. They are very individual. They're not a blanket statement, and the autism that you're calling in one person is not the same autism that is actually
is it actually impacting your quality of life and ability to function?
But anyway, we weren't talking about that. There was something else with birth that I wanted to go off on a tangent on, and now I can't remember. What does anybody have? I wonder where those question things went. Let's see if there's this thing here. Let's see at the top if there's questions on here still. Nope, I don't see more of those. But yeah, so the grandkids, the first grandkid being born was almost going to be a home birth, just as a last minute, dodge and duck, like, change your plan, we're going to have a home birth. And she didn't quite end up coming home birth because of her positioning and not coming out nicely. But then that mama, her last one, that is a little 2-year-old guy, decided to stay home and rocked having her little buddy there. So she had 2 hospital births.
I know, so I kind of want to join the unassisted club. At the same time, I really like having the midwife there.
Oh, yeah, you had the midwife. Yeah,
but now we have a friend who's a midwife, so.
Yeah, so, well, that was the funny thing. My very good best friend there, who is now a full midwife, was apprenticing at the time. And so then daughter-in-law was like, I kind of would like to have a home birth. I'm going to hold out hope for it. And, I'd be glad to have that friend come over and offer some support. And that friend was like, yes, I really want to. That would be awesome. I would love to. Any time except for this one Saturday evening that is my brother's wedding. And
of course it was that Saturday evening.
Yes. And so then, and we're trying to message her and text her, afternoon, late evening, and she's not responding. And then other kiddos were with me. So laboring mommy and daddy are home all by themselves. And of course, I'm like, okay, how's it going? A million times. Try not to bother you too much, but how's it going? What's going on?
Yeah.
Do you need to, how's things going? Use your intuition if you think you need to go to the hospital. I mean, I've done this too, but this stuff scares the shit out of me too, and I know the dangers. I mean, I'm not like, oh, trust the process. Birth is always so natural. I know the dangers, and I get to be a nervous Nelly, even though I've done it. So yeah, they were laboring, and we couldn't get hold of friend midwife. And right down at the last 30 minutes, things got a little bit haywire intense, and a little bit, maybe they were going to have to go in. And then I'm going like, look, if you need to take your wife to the hospital with what I hear is going on there in the background in the state that you guys are in, you do not need to get in the driver's seat with her like that and try to drive the hospital. You need to let me, run over there with a vehicle that the two of you can get into the back of, and I will zoom you to the hospital. So tell me if I need to do that. And just kind of, and then hearing, I got to go, or this is going on, or what's happened, and then of course, well, both us grandmas, know each other. So I'm the dad's mom, and then the mom's mom is also back and forth chatting with me, so that we're sharing, like, did they tell you anything? Did they tell me anything? So we're sharing updates. And then, the last, it had been like 15 minutes, and something serious sounded like it's going down, decision needed to be made, and hadn't heard anything, gave them a little bit of space, and then like, have you heard anything yet? And then they had the baby, and of course, giving themselves a few minutes before, they're going, yes, okay, we're here. And literally, as I was waiting for that last confirmation, like, we're okay, baby's here, or we need to go to the hospital, that midwife friend of mine texts us back, goes, I'm just seeing these messages, how is it? And so I'm starting to type out a message to her going, da 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 da, and I get from them, he's here. And then I'm like, okay, he's here. So she finally got the message, like, just as the baby was being born. But they did good. They had a good birth. And
how you say that? Lop, blank says, your mom is a very sweet person, Minna. Thank you, she is.
Can be, except when I'm wielding knives and mad at you guys.
Or trying to teach us math.
I don't teach y'all math.
You beat it into us. Not really.
Hey, the last I had to do is teach the 18-year-old how to calculate weight and balances for airplane stuff. And hey, he learned it. Yeah. And he passed his private pilot's license test.
Both of them are up now. All right. It's time to end stream. All right, do you want to, here, you go cuddle him while I wrap up stream. Thanks for joining me, Mom.
Bye, guys.
I roped her into it, haha. All right, let's see. All the kiddos. Let's see how tonight's sleep goes, since Doe Kid fell asleep super early, and I got Doe Baby on my lap looking around now. You are so stinking cute. You are such a rascal, though. But he's got that smile. Everyone passing by him and around here too, they're all just like, oh, kawaii. They're just like, oh, he's so cute. And he was like leaning back in the carrier trying to like smile at people when we were walking around today. He's so stinking cute. But he's gonna be something, huh? Alright, time to wrap up stream. Oh, we had another question. How do I find a girlfriend like Minna, and how old can you get before it's too late to start dating? It really depends.
I'll have to ask my single 27-year-old brother.
Well, this is probably like guys.
I know, that's why he is.
Oh.
Doe Kid really wants mama.
Okay.
He rejected.
Okay, I'm coming, baby. I'm coming. Showed up late again. I'm sorry about that. All right, let me quickly find a stream, see if anyone's around to redirect into. Oh, I know.
Who's that? That's not the one I want.
Okay.
That's not the one I want.
I know, baby. He needs a diaper change. Alright, I'm going to put it to the ending screen, and I'm going to find someone to raid. Good night, guys. Thanks again for joining. Thanks, Mom. Love you. Bye, chat. Stay fresh, my friends.